The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast.
Rewind.
Joining me today is a man who, well, he's just looking for the man who stole a crown. Yes, I made a reference to the fact that Maximus acts like a dog in this, and Jacob, my good co-host, has other dog-like tendencies.
That was so clever.
So yes, welcome, Jacob.
Clever. Thank you. Ow! Oh, Corella. The next person who baps me over the head with a frying pan, they're gonna get.
She says she has no idea how that got there. She has no hands.
Sure, deal it.
Neener, boo boo.
Either way, I'm gonna have a headache for the next week and a half. Thanks. Let me introduce our co-host, a man who.
Oh, I just drew a blank. That's terrible.
You're gonna make editing this fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Me too. All right, why? Thank you. Let me introduce our co-host, a man who. Oh my gosh. Why do you have to bring the raccoon into this? No, wait, wrong series. We like we're talking about a series. We're talking about the movie here. You know, he brought a frog into the situation. Welcome through.
I'd say there was a raccoon. There was not a raccoon in this movie.
I know. I was referring to the series,
but there was a monkey.
There was a monkey, which wasn't in the movie at all.
The end credits.
In the end credits, yes.
Which made me go, wow, that's an interesting foreshadowing.
Yeah, if you've seen the series, you know who we're talking about.
Yeah, it's a certain
big old
visionary.
Yeah.
Who is owned by a Madam Con Artist.
Yes.
That's her name.
Con Artist.
Con Artist.
Yes. So
it has nothing to do with Duckburg.
Clever.
Sorry, that was Saint Canard.
That's Saint Canard.
Still. Darkwing Duck did not help out in either of these shows.
No.
But anyway, yeah, we are doing a rewind back to our second episode of Tangled. And we have done so much Tangled on this show.
You're not kidding.
That I'm feeling like we've gotten tangled in it ourselves.
Just a little.
Just a touch. We're only missing one thing from the entire Tangled cinematic universe here.
Short.
Yes, the short. We have one short left, and we don't have a way to insert it in yet.
Yeah, we'll work on it.
Eventually.
We'll get there when we get there.
Hey, we've even done the cameo appearance.
Yeah. In Frozen. Frozen.
Which may or may not be canon.
Don't know.
May or may not. Anyway,
yeah.
Are you ready to jump into a spoiler-free section?
Yes, sir.
Certified fresh and spoiler-free.
This is my fourth viewing of this film. My first viewing was on Netflix long time ago, before Frozen even came out.
Really?
Yes, it was on there for because of the Stars connection back when they had that.
Yeah. And
I was tired. I couldn't go to sleep. It was 10 o'clock at night. I thought, I'll just watch a movie before I go to bed. Maybe that'll, get me into sleepy time. And this movie had to be on there. It's like, oh, here's a movie I meant to see. Everyone talks good about this.
Yeah.
It's supposed to bring Disney back from the semi-dark ages that the mid-2000s kind of led us in.
Kind of, yeah.
And I watched it and I enjoyed it. It's a good film. And then the second time we were over at friend of the show's Aaron Lowe's place.
Yes.
And we introduced him to the movie.
And he loved it.
Yes. And then, of course, I had to watch it for our original review, both the roboted version and the one we actually released.
Yes.
And then, of course, this is fifth because I watched it right before we started Tangled the series.
We did.
So that I could have, continuity before Tangled,
You have
before
to.
Ever After.
It's called context for a reason,
Exactly.
and context is key.
So yeah, this is my 5th viewing. It is, in my opinion, one of the best Disney princess movie to come out since the 2000s. Bear in mind, I have not watched Princess and the Frog. I don't know how that will affect my rating.
We're gonna watch that
Eventually, later this year, actually, I think.
Exactly. It's on the list.
Yeah. So keep an eye out for that. It's a good show. Or it's a good movie. I mean, it has a good show leading out after it that I suggest people also watch.
Highly recommend it.
And yeah. And I will go ahead and steal Jacob's thunder because I know this is one of his favorite movies, period.
It is one of them. So this movie I first saw in theaters. So this was 2010? 2010, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
2010. So I told the story in the first episode. Well, the robot version, then retold it again in the second episode. So at the time, be like, I was part of the college class at my church. And so the teacher wanted to throw a big party for her daughter, who was loved Disney like most people do. And it was like, oh, this movie Tangled's coming out. It's like, okay. Be like, you know what? I'm gonna go and watch this movie. I haven't seen it. I think the last movie I saw in theaters was a Disney film. Was probably Bolt. I think I could be wrong, but so went and saw it. Blew my ever living mind. I was like, wow, this is a good story. This is an amazing, story, characters, development, growth, the whole enchilada. So obviously when it came out on Blu-ray and DVD, I bought it. And I've watched it every year, probably twice in 1 year at least. And I thoroughly love this movie to death. It's one of my favorite Disney. It's up there. It's the echelons of Disney films for me. So they're going to be like, you can disagree with me. We can both agree. I'm going to tell you you're wrong because that's just stupid. But that's my opinion. I love this movie. It's probably one of my favorite Disney films of all time. And yeah, I've watched it probably every year in some capacity or form with this or this or this. That one inspired, and then I hear about, oh, they're doing a series, and be like, and I only catch like one or two things about it, and I see this one thing from season 2. It's like, oh my gosh, I show it to Drew. Yeah, exactly that scene. So if you have not seen
something, sorry,
yeah, I had it in my head just a second ago. Yeah, but either or, be like, if you have not seen Tangled the series or Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure or Tangled Before Ever After, which is the movie preceding the TV series, be like, if you have not seen it and you are subscribed to Disney Plus, go watch it. You are doing yourself a disservice in every fashion or form to go watch this show. I am just plugging this because we have done all 3 seasons on TAS,
and it was very good.
It was very good. And I recommend it to anybody. And there are people say that, oh, Frozen's better. No, it's not.
I have yet to meet this person who says Frozen is better. I know there's kids who love Frozen.
Oh yeah,
and nothing else will send it. But those are kids. I get kids being like that.
I get kids, but
I have yet to actually meet an adult who has watched both films and said Frozen was better.
Yeah,
I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just saying I haven't met them yet.
I agree. Be like, I met one person and it was like, really? Have you watched Tangled? It's like, no, I haven't watched Tangled. So go watch Tangled. And I never heard back from them what they thought. It was like, oh, it's good. They didn't tell me if it was better or not. But yeah, for the majority, everybody believes that Tangled is superior to Frozen.
Right.
In every fashion or form. So yeah, Tangled is probably one of the echelons, top tier animated films I love to death, including Disney films. Ever since it is a Disney film. It's the movie that brought Disney back from the
and it was their 50th animated feature.
It was. It was a video.
So anyway, you ready to jump into the spoiler-filled section?
Yeah, let's talk about the spoiler freeze. Yeah.
The following is a spoiler-filled review for the movie Tangled. Listener discretion is advised. Tangled was directed by Nathan Greno, who also directed the short Super Rhino, based off the character from Bolt.
So funny.
And Byron Howard, who also directed Zootopia and Encanto. I didn't realize it was the same guy. It was written by Dan Fogelman and based a little loosely on Grimm's fairy tale.
A little.
By the brothers Grimm. Getting into the cast, we've got Mandy Moore as Rapunzel, and she played Rebecca Pearson in the television show This Is Us.
Which I've heard so many good things about that series. I just never got around to watching it.
Zachary Levi as Flynn Rider, aka Eugene Fitzherbert. And he was Shazam in Shazam. I'm sure he's in other things. It's just that's the first thing that popped in my mind.
Yeah, hold on. You watched the most recent Shazam movie, right?
Fury of the Gods?
Yeah.
Yes, I thought.
Yeah, you said that was pretty okay, right?
It was okay.
It was okay.
It wasn't great, but it's been like most of DC has been.
Okay, gotcha. Moving on.
I don't really like it when little children say curse words, especially the granddaddy curse word. And that does happen in the film, so bear with me there. Donna Murphy played Mother Gothel.
Oh, yeah.
And did you know she's in Star Trek?
I heard about this.
She's in a movie. My second most hated Star Trek movie. The one that actually fights for last place with The Final Frontier.
Oh. A certain film?
Insurrection.
Oh, Insurrection.
No. It's not a movie that's hanging on my wall.
Oh, okay.
I have issues with Into Darkness, but it's still in the upper half.
Okay.
Anyway, I know what you're thinking because it's like right there.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I know your dislikes for that film.
Yes, but in Star Trek Insurrection, she played the character Anij, who was Picard's love interest from the planet.
Remember that film.
And now that I know that that's her, it's like, oh, the Baku are not the nice saintly race you made them out to be. Star Trek. Just saying.
Oh, bother.
Ron Perlman played the Stabbington brothers, and he was Hellboy.
Yes.
In Hellboy. And Hellboy 2, the Golden Kingdom?
Army.
Golden Army. Whatever.
Something like that.
The good Hellboys.
Yeah, not the remake.
Not the garbage.
Yeah, that was not that good.
Yes.
Let's just say that. It wasn't that good.
MC Gainey played the captain of the guard, aka Cassandra's adopted father. And he played Swamp Thing in Con Air. I am guessing that's got to be like a call sign or something.
I haven't seen Con Air in years.
Because it can't be, DC Swamp Thing.
No.
Because that would change the context of that movie greatly.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Anyway, Jeffrey Tambor played Big Nose. Oh, by the way, all the residents of the Duckling.
Yeah.
I did not use the names IMDb gave them because they were just descriptive names, like in this case, Big Nosed Thug.
Big Nose Thug.
So instead, I went with the names from Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure.
Oh,
which was Big Nose.
Yeah.
Because that is his name. I got to looking through all these. I was like, y'all just really picked the descriptive term and took off the word thug, and that's what you named these characters.
Yeah.
Except for Vlad. We'll get to him. But he played Tom Manning in Hellboy.
Okay.
Brad Garrett played Hook Hand. And he played Robert Barone in Everybody Loves Raymond.
A show I watched a little bit here and there.
Paul F. Tompkins was the voice of Shorty.
Knife.
And he is Dr. Miglimo in Star Trek Lower Decks. The bird.
Oh, the bird. Oh.
Who always makes food
That's right.
food references.
Yeah. Because you referenced that once, and I was like,
Yes.
"Oh yeah, that's right."
Because when I was doing it, they first showed up in season 2. I go, Shorty, you're back. I thought we got rid of you, and yet you kept coming back, like Shorty does. I like Shorty, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but
Shorty's
he's
fun.
still Shorty. Anyway, and Robert Keel played Vlad, the thug who likes to make the little porcelain ponies.
The big thug.
Yes. He was Jaws in Moonraker.
Jaws and Moonraker. The
James Bond film. The big James Bond villain, Jaws.
Oh, that's the movie. That's one of them I haven't seen yet.
It's just he's one of the major villains that came up in the movies. Granted, he's not one of the good villains.
Okay.
But he was in a couple of them.
Okay.
Kingdom Hearts connections. I will give you as I've started doing recently, I will give you a chance to guess how many Kingdom Hearts connections, with the hint that the Kingdom Hearts world that this is in Kingdom Hearts 3, which came out in 2019, aka the same year we started this show.
It would have to be 6, I think. 6 or 7.
10.
10. Okay, I was close. Close.
We'll start with the most disappointing one.
Okay.
Mandy Moore.
Okay.
Because she is in Kingdom Hearts.
Yes. She does.
She's in Kingdom Hearts 1, and she voices Aerith.
Yeah.
Only in Kingdom Hearts 1.
Yeah.
She didn't get to play Rapunzel in Kingdom Hearts 3 because of scheduling conflicts.
Yes.
Shame.
It happens.
Zachary Levi was Flynn Rider in both. Donna Murphy played Mother Gothel in both. Hynden Walsh was additional voices in Tangled. She played Alice in Kingdom Hearts. And because Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is a Kingdom Hearts game, this was the only connection I could find this week. She was Faridi in that game.
For who?
In the Kid Icarus space stages, when there's this character who's like the goddess of nature that shows up from time to time, including destroying an entire stage in the middle of a fight. But we'll get to that.
Okay.
And her name is Faridi.
Faridi. Okay.
Suzanne Blakesley was additional voices here, though I suspect she played Old Lady Crowley, even though I don't remember seeing Old Lady Crowley in any shots.
No.
But pretty much she was there. And if you remember from Kingdom Hearts, from all our times, and when I brought this up during Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure, I mentioned that she has a tendency to play villains.
Yes.
After the original actresses had to step down from their roles because of age. She, in Kingdom Hearts, plays Maleficent, Lady Tremaine, and the Queen.
Powerhouses. Say that.
And just for fun, the Twilight Town computer that sucks Sora and gang into the Tron world. Just as a random other little connection there. Barbara Dickerson. In Kingdom Hearts, she plays both Flora and the fairy godmother. However, this is the first time I've run across this particular credit for a movie that I've been able to use. She was given special thanks at the end of the credits. I mean, that happens all the time. You see special thanks. But it's like that was the first time that had been the connection.
Yeah.
Like the special thanks. Weird. Cool.
Agreed.
Kari Walgren was additional voices in here. And she played the Grid in Kingdom Hearts. That would be specifically the Tron world from Tron Legacy.
Okay.
Staying with the Tron Legacy connection, or Tron Legacy world connection, Fred Tatasciore, who was additional voices in Tangled, and if you remember, also played Shax in Star Trek Lower Decks.
Okay.
So you remember who the actor is.
Shax.
He also voiced Kevin Flynn and Clue in Kingdom Hearts in the Tron Legacy world.
Interesting.
I have to be specific because it's actually two different worlds, even between the one in Kingdom, the regular Tron world and the Tron Legacy world. They're not meant to be the same computer.
Really? Okay.
Yes, they separated. It was very smart how they handled it.
Okay.
Last but not least, due to the Kingdom Hearts 3 using some archival audio,
Mm-hmm.
Delaney Rose Stein got to reprise her role in Kingdom Hearts from Tangled as young Rapunzel.
Okay.
That is 10 connections.
Nice.
And only 2 of them were direct reprisals of roles.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I got for cast and Kingdom Hearts connections. What do we got in info and stuff?
Quite a bit, actually. So IMDb is a 7.7 out of 10. You can watch it on Disney Plus. You can subscribe to Disney Plus. It was produced by Walt Disney Pictures and Walt Disney Animation Studios, distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. Release date. All right, so kind of like we kind of started doing, be like, where was this movie first shown? So where was the Disney's Tangled first shown? It was here in the States.
You just stole my joke because I was going to say Germany. I mean, that's where her name comes from. Is
Yes.
Germany.
Yes.
But anyway, no. Where was it first shown here?
Yeah. It was in California.
It was in California?
It's in California.
Well, that leaves out Sundance because that's in Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
And Toronto International Film Festival. What else is in? I'm gonna guess it was at Disneyland, what used to be called Grauman's Chinese Theater.
Nope,
because it's got a different owner now. It's no longer Grauman's.
Nope, it was actually first viewed at the El Capitan Theater.
Okay, fair.
Yeah. So
there's a lot of stuff shown there.
Agreed.
I think the El Capitan might actually be Disney owned, but I could be wrong there.
I was trying to look into it, but I couldn't find it as fast as I wanted to, but darn. So November 14th, 2010, it was shown at the El Capitan Theater, and then nationwide on November 24th, a whole 10 days later. Box office had an estimated budget of $260 million. Its opening weekend for the United States and Canada was $48.7 million. Now, granted, taking how they would have called this movie a flop in 2010 because it didn't do well. It'd be like, it did okay in its opening weekend because they'll always be like, the movie's gonna stink because they didn't make $20 billion in the first weekend. But nuance. Its U.S. gross in the United States and Canada was $200.8 million. Its worldwide gross was $592.4 million. It made its money back. Let's just say that. So home release. Disney Tangled was released by Walt Disney Studio Home Entertainment as a 4-disc combo pack on March 19th, 2011. The combo pack included a Blu-ray 3D. Remember when those were a thing, people? Standard Blu-ray, DVD, and digital copy. I think I own one of one of those. I don't own the 4-pack. The 2-pack, I own the 2-pack. I know that. That comes with the digital. 2-pack, 2-disc DVD, Blu-ray combo pack, and a single DVD also available. Footage features on the Blu-rays included deleted scenes, 2 alternate opening sequences, 2 extended songs, inside look into how the film was made. The DVD included 2 original storyboard openings and the 50th anniversary countdown. Sales for Disney Tangled in the United States and Canada exceeded $95 million on DVD and Blu-ray sales, the highest gross on DVDs of the year 2011. Its home video sales exceeded the film's earning in its first week in theaters. The film sold a record 2.9 million units in the first week in North America, the largest opening in 2011 for DVDs. It's domestic in 2 weeks on DVD, and this is a bunch of numbers that be like you may be interested, you may not. But yeah, this movie did extremely well when it came to its home release. So let's pull a little ahead. As of January 2nd, 2016, the film has earned a total of $215 million in home video releases in the United States and Canada. That's $155 million in DVD sales and $60 million from Blu-ray sales. Tangled was released on Ultra HD Blu-ray on November 5th, 2019. Sequels. There actually was a sequel in not in process.
A direct sequel.
Yeah, a direct sequel.
Not the stuff we got.
Yeah, but a direct sequel was. They were planning it, but let's get into that a little house. All right, so on December 2015, Tangled's producer Ron Coral revealed that the production team had been heavily pushed for a full-length sequel to the film, but the writers and directors got together to develop one. They realized she cut her hair. It's over. Colton explained the Disney animated under Lassenger. It was always filmmakers who decided whether they were ready to make a sequel, not marketing or merchandising. On June 15th, Corlin again provided a similar example when pushed on the point, and also mentioned directors Ginero and Howard. I might mispronounce the name, but so I apologize. Ultimately, weren't really interested in continuing the story. In May 2020, Hannah Shaw Williams of Screen Rant asked whether to suggest the movie would lead to a sequel apart from the short Tangled Before or After, stating there is no word of it being actual development. Note that Disney is developing a live action movie from Rapunzel. It states that it would take several years for a possible movie to reach theaters. So what we got was Tangled Before Ever After, a TV series set between the feature film and the short Tangled Ever After, which aired on March 10th, 2017, serving as an introduction to a continuing TV series as Tangled the Series, later retitled Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure, that started airing on Disney Channel on March 24th, 2017. It ran for 3 seasons and 60 episodes until 2020. Now, referring back to Tangled Before Ever After, a short sequel released in 2012. The plot revolves around the wedding between Rapunzel and Eugene. Pascal and Maximus lose the ring and chase after them, causing massive collateral damage along the way. So if you haven't seen the short, go watch it. It's funny.
I did go ahead and watch that after we finished Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure.
Yeah, and it's somewhat alluded to in the series. So if you're fans of the series, you know what we're talking about. Or you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, that's all I have for info stuff.
Okay, to answer your question about the El Capitan Theater, because you said you tried to look some stuff up, it is a fully restored movie palace at 6838 Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywood. The theater is actually owned by the Walt Disney Company and serves as the venue for a majority of the Walt Disney Studios film premieres. So there you go.
There we go. Now you know the rest of the story.
Mostly. Anyway, let's get into the summary for this.
Yeah.
Long ago, a drop of magical sunlight fell from the sky and sprouted a flower with healing powers. Whether or not a moon also dropped a light is another matter entirely. Yeah. An old woman, Mother Gothel, who may or may not have been working for Xantiri, hid the flower and used it to stay young for centuries. But one day, soldiers from the nearby kingdom of Corona, who was never actually named, the kingdom was never actually named in this movie, took it to save their pregnant and ill queen, who gave birth to a daughter with golden hair. One night, Gothel snuck into the castle and discovered that while the baby's hair shines, the healing flower's magic. It turns brown and becomes powerless when cut. To keep the flower's magic, she kidnaps the girl, named Rapunzel, and now raises her in a hidden tower in the woods, using her hair to stay young. Each year, on their daughter's birthday, the king and queen release sky lanterns in hopes that they will guide her home. Rapunzel is fascinated by the annual lights, and on the eve of her 18th birthday, asks for permission to attend the release as a birthday gift. Gothel refuses, saying the outside world is too dangerous for her. Later, handsome thief Flynn Rider steals Rapunzel's intended crown from the palace and abandons his partners, the Stabbington brothers, while being relentlessly pursued by royal guardsman's horse named Maximus. He takes refuge in the tower. Rapunzel knocks him out with a frying pan and hides him in a closet. However, when she attempts to show him to Gothel as proof that she is capable of leaving, Gothel angrily berates Rapunzel and again refuses to let her leave the tower. Hatching a plan, Rapunzel sends Gothel on a 3-day journey to get her new paints as a substitute gift. Rapunzel hides the crown and tells Flynn he can only get it back by taking her to see the lights. He agrees, and the two set off. Along the way, they stop at the Snuggly Duckling pub, where menacing thugs try to capture the wanted Flynn, but Rapunzel charms them into revealing their softer sides. The royal guards arrive, the thugs help her, and Flynn escape. Meanwhile, Gothel becomes suspicious, returns to the now empty tower, and finds the crown. She sets out to find Rapunzel and allies with the Stabbington brothers. Flynn and Rapunzel become trapped in a fast-flooding cave. Believing they will die, Flynn reveals his true name, Eugene Fitzherbert, and Rapunzel reveals her magic powers. Her glowing hair shows a hidden exit beneath the water, and they escape and hide in the woods. That night, Gothel catches up to Rapunzel while Eugene is away, gives her the crown, and tells her to test Eugene's loyalty. The next morning, Maximus tracks down Eugene. Rapunzel demands a birthday truce, and Maximus reluctantly agrees. Joining them as they enter the kingdom and attend a festival in honor of the Lost Princess, after a day of celebration, they sail onto the lake to watch the release of the lanterns. Having fulfilled her dream, Rapunzel gives Eugene the crown, and they confess their love. When Eugene sees the Stabbington brothers on the shore, though, he goes to apologize and offers them the crown, and they abduct him, tying him to a ship, and with the crown, as the royal guards will arrest him, and Rapunzel will think he abandoned her. They try to capture Rapunzel, but Gothel stages a rescue and urges Rapunzel back to the tower. Heartbroken and feeling betrayed, Rapunzel agrees to go. Eugene escapes with the help of Maximus and the pub thugs. Meanwhile, Rapunzel realizes she has subconsciously incorporated the kingdom's standard, a golden sun, into her artwork all her life, finally understanding that she is the lost princess. She confronts Gothel. Eugene arrives at the tower and calls to Rapunzel. Her hair is lowered to him, but upon climbing up, he finds her bound and gagged, and Gothel fatally stabs him from behind. She tries to drag Rapunzel to a new hiding place. Rapunzel first vows to fight her, then offers to go willingly if Gothel will allow her to heal Eugene. Gothel reluctantly agrees, but Eugene, realizing Rapunzel would spend the rest of her life in captivity, cuts all her hair before she can heal him. Gothel begins to age rapidly and turns to dust as she falls from the tower, where in the Kingdom Hearts 3, she then turns into a Heartless that we have to kill. Rapunzel mourns her lost love, and one of her tears, still having some of the sun's power, brings him back to life. Eugene reunites Rapunzel with her royal parents, is fully pardoned for his crimes, and he and Rapunzel are married as the kingdom celebrates. Meanwhile, Rapunzel starts testing out a new handmaiden named Cassandra. I may have added a couple of points.
Just a little.
That were not actually in the movie, but technically happened.
That is true. So, I have a question for you, really fast, because I don't know if we touched it on the first episode or the re-recorded episode. So, you see in the very end of the film where Gothel is now she no longer has Rapunzel's power.
Yeah,
and she's rapidly de-aging. Does the fall kill her, or is she just dust by the end of it?
Yes.
Okay. So
here's the thing. She was already dying from advanced age.
Yes.
Especially as it's being forced on her in a very quick pace. And she also hits the ground, and as far as we can tell, immediately dissipates into dust.
That is true.
So I believe that the moment of her death, or since this is a Disney film, the moment of her destruction happens, but with both things hitting her at the same time. Her body would finally give out from all the magical stress it's been put under from the rapid de-aging. Plus, she falls on the ground, and that would have to break all kinds of bones when that occurs. And then she continually deteriorated into the dust that she should have already, become by that point in time.
Yeah. I just love to be like, to kind of quote Eugene.
Of course, like I said, in Kingdom Hearts, the dust then reforms into a Heartless, that she then have to kill,
and to
a giant tree Heartless.
So to kind of paraphrase Eugene, be like, yeah, the frog did it. The frog tripped her.
Chameleon
nuance.
Anyway, trivia for this episode. Speaking of frogs, Disney's previous animated feature, The Princess and the Frog, despite being popular with critics and audiences alike, was a box office disappointment. Disney felt that the film's princess themes discouraged young boys from seeing it. In an attempt to market the film to a broader audience, Disney changed the title of the film from Rapunzel to Tangled and promoted it as a comedic adventure. An early trailer for the film focused less on Princess Rapunzel and more on Flynn Rider, the male lead character. It was originally believed that Disney's marketing campaign was a desperate attempt to search for a particular audience. However, directors Byron Howard and Nathan Greeno claimed that the title change was to emphasize that Flynn had as much of a role in the film as Rapunzel.
True.
There are over 45,000 lanterns used during the I See the Light sequence. This is the first animated Disney princess film to get a PG rating by the Motion Picture Association of America. The previous Disney princess films up to that point were all rated G. And if I have to make a guess as to why this specifies first animated Disney princess film, is because technically Enchanted counts as a Disney princess film, but it is mostly not animated.
It's primarily live action.
And I believe it is actually PG. And she was actually going to be a Disney princess toy for a while, but I don't think that ended up actually happening. Giselle was. Anyway, this is the most expensive Disney film in the animated canon at a cost of $260 million US dollars. Yes. Zachary Levi auditioned for the part of Flynn Rider and got it with trying to use an English accent.
I'd see that.
Later, this was dropped and Levi read the role in his own American accent instead. Whenever Mother Gothel expresses her quote-unquote love to Rapunzel, it is always to her hair and not directly to Rapunzel. She kisses Rapunzel on the head and touches her hair whenever expressing love. She also calls her my little flower in reference to the original sunflower. By contrast, whenever Flynn is being affectionate to Rapunzel, he always brushes her hair away so he can see her face better. In the opening scenes, you see baby Rapunzel in her cradle staring up at a baby mobile. In a bit of foreshadowing, several items are seen hanging from the mobile come into play later in the story, namely a chameleon, her pet Pascal, a rubber ducky, the snuggly duckling that Flynn takes her to, a cupid, that would be Shorty,
sure,
a horse, Maximus, and a bluebird, representing her freedom as she leaves the tower.
Or it wasn't one of the birds she turned into in Tangled the series season 2.
We're going to say that didn't happen in this instance. It could be, actually, now that you say it. In that case, there should be a monkey and moon and
hair girl.
Yes, there should be there should be a strand of blue hair.
Yes, because technically there's 2 of them in that series.
Indeed.
Yes.
The descending lantern that Rapunzel lifted back skyward was the one her parents, the king and queen, launched from the palace veranda. It was the only one with the royal symbol of the sun on it.
Mm-hmm.
Rapunzel, after she has her short brown locks, and Flynn can both be seen in Frozen in 2013 as part of the crowd when the palace gates open for Princess Elsa's coronation.
Yes.
In the beginning of the movie, the inside of Rapunzel's tower is bright and full of color. After she returns from seeing the lanterns, it is dull and darkly colored to symbolize she no longer sees the tower as amazing. I'm sure it had nothing to do with the depression of losing the love of her life or believing she had, and now knowing she's going to be trapped with what has to be the most lying woman on the face of the planet that she's already no longer wants to spend her time around.
A snake in a way.
Yes. Notice at the end that the king has aged, but the queen has not. Most likely due to drinking a liquid version of the flower.
That's true.
In the original Grimm fairy tale, Flynn Rider was actually a prince and Rapunzel wasn't a princess, but born a peasant. Before her birth, her mother saw some rampion
Type of flower.
No,
it was sort of
it's a plant of some kind.
Yeah, it's a plant, which you
the
mother wanted, and the husband went over.
Right, it's growing in Dame Gothel's garden, and she craved it longingly. Rapunzel's father stole the rampion the first time successfully, but during the second time he got caught. In exchange, he had to give up his first child. When Rapunzel was born, the witch appeared, took the child away, and named her after the rampion her mother had craved for. Because Rapunzel's name actually does mean cabbage. For those who don't know,
it sounds like it's from Dragon Ball.
That would be cabbage.
That'd be cabbage.
Actually, I think one of the Saiyans in like one of the other dimensions name is based on the word cabbage, and I don't remember what the name actually is.
Oh, that's hilarious. That is absolutely
exactly. Anyway,
salad.
After 12 years, Gothel locked Rapunzel in a tower and was the only visitor for some years until a prince came by. In the Grimm story, Rapunzel falls for the prince who visits her, frequently leading her to become pregnant. Gothel finds out, cuts Rapunzel's hair, and banishes her to a desert, where she gives birth to twins. The prince arrives at the tower only to learn that the witch is there. In his grief, he lets go of the hair and falls into thorns, becoming blind. He wanders through the desert, gets reunited with Rapunzel, whose tears restore his sight, and they live happily ever after.
Yeah.
This is definitely a Grimm's fairy tale.
Very, very Grimmy.
Also,
not grimace, but Grimmy.
During the end credits for this film, I got to bring this up.
We talked about this.
I got to bring this up.
Yep.
There is a sketch from a deleted scene that made it into the end credits. It features Flynn or Eugene and Rapunzel talking to a monkey who is obviously a fortune teller of some kind. And this does not, of course, appear in the movie.
It's just a deleted scene.
However, in Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure, starting in season 2 and appearing in no less than 3 episodes, this character actually returns and actually has a very major role in the story.
Now when you're starting the series, it's Vigo. Oh, he's just a monkey.
That's Vigo the Visionary. This is just going to be the comedic episode. And there's a little bit of a hint that there might be something more, considering how anytime at the end of both the first 2 episodes he shows up in, he always ends the episode looking very serious and straight into Flynn's into Eugene's eyes and going, you better take it's almost like he's saying, you better take care of this young girl, she is the key to everything. And then he goes back to being a monkey. And I remember when we were watching these episodes, I go, really, we coming up on another Vigo episode? I hate this stupid monkey, he's so dumb, I don't know why they keep bringing him back. And then we get to season 3 and we get to the Vigo episode, and it's like, by the way, spoiler alert for those of you who have not seen Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure.
3, 2, 1.
He is actually the great wizard Dantiri. Am I remembering the name right?
It's not Xantiri.
No, not Xantiri, because that's the villain.
Yeah.
It's Demanitus.
Demonicus. Yeah,
Demanitus. He's actually Demanitus who stuffed his when he was dying, somehow got his mind into the body of a monkey, traded brains with it somehow, and that's how he has survived all these years without being caught by Xantiri's, which was the main villain of the show, his evil clutches, which, you know, technically Mother Gothel worked for Xantiri.
Yeah.
Even though we never got to see
him.
Even though we never got to see exactly how that actually worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, Donna Murphy comes back for those episodes, especially one particular one where it's like, you know, I was willing to think maybe she was just greedy and the greed had overtaken her, and maybe I could have forgiven her. Nope. Nope. Not after what I saw that she did to her actual daughter. And that's as far as I'm going to spoil, because there's some things I shouldn't spoil. Despite the fact I kind of guessed at the minute you showed me this character existed.
Yes, I did.
But that's all beside the points.
And your notes kind of spoiled it for you.
Yeah.
Which I was so sad.
I like this. Deus Ex Machina via Monkey. That would be Deus Ex Monkey. Deus Ex Monkey.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Awesome.
So yeah, that is my trivia for Tangled.
And a little extra.
You got a little extra because this is technically part of an entire franchise. I will say that the fact, and I know they could not have done anything because the short that appears after Rapunzel's Second Adventure, which came out on the Blu-ray or in the DVD of the movie, I know it was made before the show, so there's not really a way the short could reference any of the previous history in the show. But I am still kind of disappointed that it was like, oh yeah, after all this drama and serious storytelling, it's now, and here's a Looney Tunes short starring a horse and a chameleon. Have fun.
Yes.
It's like, that's not the way I was expecting this to end. But okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. What is your first like for this film, my friend?
My first like of this film is the story. The storytelling is amazing. Be like, you have Rapunzel, who is kidnapped as a young child, and a woman who is this is a family-friendly show.
You could actually make the claim that she is a witch.
She is a witch. If you go to the series, she's a witch.
Oh, she's a witch even in this.
That is true. That is so true. But like, even in early storyboard development, they were planning to make her a witch, like actual spell casting the whole bit, but they dropped it. Which I was thinking, like, I wish they would have done that because that would have made the show even better. But you have Mother Gothel, who is oh my gosh, probably I'll get that in my second like in a minute. But you have, poor Rapunzel, who is locked in a tower, doesn't know any better. She thinks Gothel is her mother and doesn't know of her true origin. And 18 years later, it'd be like just this amazing story of this adventure and discovery of who you are. Be like what your past truly is and how depraved and just evil the woman who has raised you your entire life, who has been, gaslighting you and just, dragging you down because she is so obsessed with her youth and more immortality that she's using you. And it's just this beautiful sequence of events where it's like the revelation of what's going on, comes into play. And I'll talk about that in a few minutes in my second like. But the storytelling is so well done. Like, you have Eugene or Flynn Rider, who shows up, comes in, is the catalyst to allow Rapunzel to leave the tower to go see the lanterns, and just this grand adventure of these two people who are basically using each other for their own means, and they wind up falling in love. And then it's just like all these different new stories telling or cascading into the ultimate conclusion to this movie, and it's so brilliantly well done story wise. And it's just like I can't say enough about the story in this movie. It's so well done. It's executed almost to perfection, I'll be like, the story wise is done excellently, and there's story wise no flaws. I don't think. I could be wrong.
I have one thing I would change just from the approach of the movie, but I will get to that.
Okay. All right. So, like, story wise, amazing. This is just ballpark, knock it out. And there again, that's why people, most people, the majority of people, the very minor majority will say the latter, but everybody else says Tangled is far superior to Frozen because of its storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my first, like, the storytelling.
I'm going to kind of jump off that because for the most part, I'm going to say the writing is my first like, because if you take out the introduction, as in the backstory of who Mother Gothel is, and the story with Rapunzel and all that, if you had left all that on the table, I'm kind of alluding to how my first dislike is going to be later on. If you just started with, we're at the tower and Rapunzel is playing hide and seek with Pascal, if we'd started there, the entire mystery of who she is, who Mother Gothel is, and what's actually going on is actually told very well if you are still a young child, and it gives you that great moment when she finally realizes that if you were a kid and you didn't already have that intro, that would be a great revelation to you as a kid. It's like, oh yeah, she is the lost princess. That's cool. I didn't see that coming. It's that kind of it would have been that kind of a great twist. Yeah. And what's great about that is while it's written on that level for the adults in the room who already know the story of Rapunzel, already have watched enough Disney movies to be able to spot a villain from a mile away.
Probably one of the best villains of Disney.
I didn't say she wasn't, but you can spot her a mile away. Yeah. It doesn't matter that she's evil. She's the kind of evil villain we like.
Yes.
You can understand her motives, and yet she's also evil for evil's sake.
Yeah, for self-motivation.
Yes, she's a
self-gratification.
She's fun, and yet she's the hero of her own story too. So you don't feel sorry for her, but you understand her motivations.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I can see it's like, oh yeah, her mother's weird, but I mean, that happens. Surely they're not the villain. And then throughout the whole film, you see the mother going from acting like she's caring, slowly showing her dark, evil, villainous side. Yeah. And plus, since we're adults and we know all this stuff, and she gets to say the line that definitely tells you she's the bad guy because she says it herself.
Okay, fine. Now
I'm the bad guy. It's like, yeah, that's a great line. And of course, we're all giggling. It's like, yeah, you're the bad guy. But it's told in such a way where it's like, if you somehow miss the beginning of the movie, you have this great little mystery of who's Rapunzel. What are the lights that we see every year? What happened to always show up on her birthday? It's a mystery. There was a great mystery there. And we'll get to why I am annoyed by the opening later, but I think you can kind of guess.
I understand why.
Yeah. And I like that it's there and it's written on levels where it's like, if you know what's going to happen, you still get a good movie out of it. Yeah. Because it's fun to watch it unfold.
Yeah, because as an audience, we know what's going on.
Right.
And we see our character growing and developing, and she discovers.
And if you missed the beginning, you're right there with Rapunzel going, what's going on? What's all this thing? And so when she puts the crown on at the beginning of the film, you go, that fits her just a little too good.
Yeah.
And then you get to her revelation at the end, and I could just see little kids going like, it would have been like sitting in the movie theater when Empire Strikes Back came out, and you get, no, I am your father. That kind of revelation.
No, it can't be true.
Except better.
Yeah.
Because it's a happy feel. It's like, she's the lost princess.
Yeah.
Mother Gothel is evil because she kidnapped her and forced her to live in this tower for years. it would be that kind of, because that moment is an amazing job of showing. Here's how good a person Rapunzel is. Here's how good of a person Eugene Fitzherbert is. I think you said Eugene Ryder. I guess that's technically accurate too. And shows you how evil Mother Gothel is in a split second if you somehow hadn't kept up.
Mm-hmm.
It's I love how the writing is set up through that whole sequence. I just wish, well, we'll get to that in the dislikes.
Right.
What's your second like?
My second like is kind of a too far. I'd be like, there's so much in the movie I love. There again, I love this series. If you haven't noticed, if you've listened to our podcast and watched this for a long time, I love this movie.
No, really?
Yeah. This is also one who recommended Tangled the series. So yeah.
Which is the entire reason the animated series got started off, because you needed a good excuse to watch that series.
Exactly. So my second like would be our main antagonist of Mother Gothel, who is a Bijan Frise, which is a nice little clever word I like to use.
She's not super freak. She's not really a freak.
No. Anyways, so Mother Gothel as a villain is, in my book, probably the top tier villains of Disney, period. Be like, we could probably sit there and argue about it, but the way Gothel does everything is this manipulating narcissist who gets her way the entire time until the big revelation later. So you have this character who is gaslighting her quote-unquote daughter. If you go to the series,
spoiler alert, she's not any better with her actual daughter.
No, oh my gosh, yes. So just spoiler, be like you've never.
We're gonna have a hard time reviewing this movie and not bringing up the series.
Yes. So there again, be like there's a point in the very beginning of season 3 of Tangled the series, Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure. I know we're supposed to be reviewing Tangled, but you can't talk about Rapunzel Tangled without talking about the series. So we get this big revelation that Cassandra is Mother Gothel's daughter, and then you get this flashback of Cassandra. She's in this. I can't remember the but either or. Be like, it's this great scene where she sees herself as a younger version of herself, and the revelation, oh, my mother's Gothel, and this beautiful a revised version of Cassandra's song "Waiting in the Wings." And I saw it the first time, I was choking up. I was like, oh my gosh, that's where that came from. But nuance just tells you how evil this character is. She abandons her own daughter, her own flesh and blood, to go after something she uses as a tool. Because Rapunzel, she doesn't love Rapunzel. She loves Rapunzel for her hair, her ability, for the power in which it gives Gothel to transform, to able to sustain her youth. And like that is just like mind-blowing, the fact that the character, a villain, would do that. Because like, it's like, yeah, they have like selfish ambitions, or but like, oh, I want to be king. It's like, no, I'm going to enslave somebody for my own benefit.
Because I'm afraid to not be young and pretty.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think she cared if she died or not.
No,
she just didn't want to be old and ugly.
Yeah. It's kind of like Lord Voldemort from Harry Potter. Lord Voldemort.
He was scared of dying.
He was scared of death. He was afraid of death. But so yeah, you have this amazing, terrible character, and then you have, on the same coin, you have Rapunzel. Rapunzel, innocent, wonderful, adventure-loving young girl who turns 18 years old, wants to go see the world. And then you get this big revelation, all these little clues pointing out to what's really happening behind the scenes. Obviously, as the audience, we know it, but we see her revelation. And this scene ties in with Mother Gothel, is you get Rapunzel's revelation.
Yes.
And where she is, like Drew said earlier, of where Rapunzel's feeling defeated. She's depressed. She's lost the love of her life. And she's sitting back in her bed, be like, her mother is making it all better, but she's still depressed. Looks up at the what do you call that? Not the banner, but the
ceiling.
The ceiling, and the flower, and that big. that amazing scene, that 360 shot,
Mhm.
like everything coming together, and it's just like breathtaking. It's, oh my gosh, this movie went to another level in storytelling and how you reveal something to a character, and it's just mind-shattering storytelling. Again, storytelling, and then you have amazing villains with amazing protagonist revelation of their life, and it's just so well done. Oh my gosh. And yeah, Mother Gothel's the worst kind of character. Be like, if I was writing a character, it's like template Gothel, because that's just good storytelling. And be like, any good writer would be like, yeah, I might want to borrow some of that template there, but that's so good. That's my number 2. It's kind of it's a two-parter, but at the same time it kind of just fits nice, snug, and yeah, love it. What's your number 2?
My number 2 are the thugs at the Snuggly Duckling.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because here's the thing. They're side characters.
They are side characters.
We shouldn't give a flying banana about them after we get out of that scene.
But we do.
But yet they are so important characters and so well remembered characters that they write them into the series for almost no good reason.
Yeah.
In reality. And yet it's like, Shorty has to be there. Granted, they couldn't get Brad Garrett for a lot of it, so they had to have somebody, not Brad Garrett, who played Hook Hand. What was Brad Garrett who played Hook Hand?
Yeah, Brad Garrett. Yeah.
They couldn't get Brad Garrett to come back for the show except for one episode, so they gave him a brother named Hookfoot.
Genius.
And these characters were breakout characters. They should not have been popular.
Agreed.
They're really not. They are definitely the original characters created for this. They're funny.
Yes.
They bring they turn a scene that we expect to be like, okay, this is about to go dark. This is about to go ugly. They're going to scare her into going back to the tower. There's no way this is going to turn out well. I've got a dream. I've got a dream. I don't remember how any of the verses go, it seems.
Apparently.
But I mean, it's like,
agree.
I was like, oh, Rapunzel is just the kind of person who can turn like any of these situations around just because of who she is.
And the fact that she's been stuck in a tower only visited by one person and a chameleon.
Mm-hmm.
And she's able to interact with people. Be like, I've never be like.
And here's the weird thing about that. I want to point this out. This is
Okay.
not part of my like, but I noted this. Until Gothel's plans are put at risk by her leaving the tower.
Yeah.
Gothel, despite still being evil, he is at least friendly.
Oh yeah, she's friendly.
She's not a good mother, don't get me wrong, but she's enough of being around Rapunzel has kind of just softened her for most of those early scenes until she suddenly realizes, oh crap, I'm about to lose everything.
Yeah.
By this going on. I can't let that happen.
Yeah.
I just think I find that important because bear in mind, I am looking at this from the point of view of this being connected to Rapunzel's Tangled adventure.
Of course. You can't.
Because we've seen it. We have to include this in our thoughts.
It interweaves with everything.
And Mother Gothel in that show, when she does show up, she is one of the 3 generals that serves directly under the evil mastermind. And yet, unlike the other 2 that we meet that are so purely evil that we hate them from the moment they show up till the moment they go away, they're just villain characters. For a bit in the movie, Mother Gothel is actually likable.
Yeah, in some sense.
In a way, you don't like what she's doing, but at the same time, it kind of, if you didn't know about what she did, this is part of the reason why I don't like this introduction to this movie. If you didn't know who she is, you would actually feel sorry for having a daughter that is giving her such a hard time that she is doing her best to raise. And I have to believe some of that is that to some degree, being around Rapunzel for 18 years may have softened her from the hardened general under Xantiri to being not a good mother per se.
Yeah.
Give it some more time, maybe, and she could have gotten nicer about it. Maybe even had to, maybe search for forgiveness if it had been later on. Granted, that's not good for the story, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I agree.
It felt like she was around Rapunzel so much that not even she was immune to her likability. That's how strong a character Rapunzel's likability is. The thugs had no chance.
Yeah, exactly.
If you can soften Mother Gothel, the thugs had no chance.
Yeah,
to stay angry at her.
So I agree with your point, but I disagree with it at the same time.
That's fair,
because you have.
I am looking at this from a creative point of view. If I was in charge of it, I don't know if you. Obviously, from a story writing point of view, you don't want Mother Gothel to be repentant in this. You want her to be. She's right at the right levels of likability, and you're evil. I hate you.
Yeah,
she's right there where at that equilibrium where she needs to be. But in my mind, it's like she was around Rapunzel so much that her evilness ebbed.
Okay, I totally see that, but
that's my point anyway.
Yeah, I agree, and I want to rebound off that a little bit because you have she is likable in a lot of ways. She's a very likable character, but also that's also a really good sign of a narcissist. Like narcissists can be really nice, can be really be like, oh, this and this and this, but they're really about themselves. They're really, really about themselves, and it's about number one, my goals, my objections, and I'm going to do anything in my power to do the thing I want. And that's include. I mean, she might have been softened a little bit. I can see your point there. I do see it. I just see more the narcissism and the manipulation because it's about self with this character,
right?
And yeah, again, she is a nice character when she wants to be.
I don't think we ever got enough chance to see her oh crap, everything's about to hit the fan. Granted, that intro.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna get that. I'm leading. I keep teasing this intro problem.
I agree with you there
because I may have a Rant Master thing coming up on this.
Yeah,
if you know Monster on Film Vault, you know what I'm referring to. Because I feel like I'll get there. I will get there.
Okay.
It's just
we'll get there when we get there.
It's just I kind of like looking at this from if that introduction did not exist and all we got was Rapunzel's living at a tower and she's got a mother who comes and visits her and there's far as we know there is nothing special about this girl other than she's got hair that glows.
Yeah.
If we're approaching it simply from that introduction, there seems to be from the beginning salvation for Gothel.
Okay, fair.
But granted, knowing her past, we know there probably isn't.
Right.
But I like the idea. Is like this is more than just a narcissist, a two-dimensional narcissist character. She is a three-dimensional character, even with the introduction.
Oh yeah.
And I appreciate that about her, and that's why I was saying, based on being around Rapunzel by 18 years, she probably did not come out of that unsoftened.
Yeah, unscathed. From being around,
she was not. She could not have walked away from that without being somewhat shaped by Rapunzel's immediate likableness.
Yeah,
that's the best way I know how to put it.
Yeah,
and I don't think that's the sunflowers.
No, that's just
connection. That's just Rapunzel.
That's Rapunzel who she is.
Yeah.
Character. Yeah. There again, I cannot wait for your dislike because. I want to hear your full.
Oh, I'm going to go full thing, but let's jump to your third like first.
My third like, which I very lovingly called. Let me get to my notes. Sacrificial love. Sacrificial love. So you have this again relationship between Flynn Rider, aka Eugene Fitzherbert, and Rapunzel, and then they starting to fall in love with each other, and then everything's kind of ripped asunder. And then you have the amazing scene where Eugene returns to the tower, believes that Rapunzel's let down her hair, and realizes like, oh, I just got stabbed, and Gothel is now gone all evil and is going completely evil and is going to try to take away Rapunzel. And it was this line in this movie which got me. It went, just grab me. Was to be like, what was it? No, I won't stop. Be like, I'll never stop trying to get away from you. But if you let me save him, I'll be like, I will do whatever you want. Just let me heal him. The willingness. Be like, you love somebody, you're willing to do almost anything for them.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like what Christ did for us. Be like, he died for our sins, even though we're undeserving of it. Christ did die for us. Be like, he became the willing sacrifice for our sins that we might have eternal life. And then you have where Rapunzel is willing to give up her life in order to save Eugene, the man she loves.
Mm-hmm.
She has fallen in love with. And it's this touching, wonderful moment in this film where be like Gothel is trying to protect her what's a good word? Her trying to think of a good word. Her precious. She's trying to
her love, precious.
Exactly, being there.
It's the closest I can get to Gollum.
I gotcha. But this amazing scene, it'd be like where it's like they're both willing to sacrifice each other's lives. Be like Flynn Rider willing to give up his life in order to protect her, and her willing to give up the rest of her life in order to protect him. Be like, it's moving. It's very powerful. And then you get the glass, which is just this amazing scene. It's just everything about it's just moving and touching and just pulls you in and doesn't let go until the very end of the film. It's like, oh, okay. Like Disney doing a really, really dark scene like that and having a character die. Be like, I love that. Oh my God. Because there again, it's sacrificial love. It's sacrificial love. And it's so moving and so like in depth of what things are. Be like what you're willing to do for somebody. Like in scripture says, if I'm going to quote it right, be like, if you were, lay down your life for your friend, or lay down your life for
no greater love have a man hath than this, and to lay down his life for his friend. Jesus said that.
Yeah, Jesus said that. But
somewhere in the Gospels, I don't remember where.
Yeah, probably someone else be like, oh, it was in this. Okay, thank you.
Fair enough.
But, yeah, fair enough. But that scene was so well done. Be like you felt like you had this, because be like, oh my gosh. Like Tangled series has scenes like this, but the movie itself has this very defining moment of what love is between two characters. It's not Snow White and Seven Dwarfs where it's, oh, the prince showed up once, oh, I'm in love with him. No, be like, you get this amazing love story, this amazing story between two characters who are basically just are using each other in order to get for their own gains, and they wind up falling in love with each other. And to the point they're willing to sacrifice each other, sacrifice their own lives to protect the one they love. And it's so well done. Oh my gosh. Like Disney, let's do more of that. That's amazing storytelling. So yeah, my third like is the sacrificial love of this film.
Well, while your third like is that love being acted out, my third like is how we see that love go from being planted to blooming.
Okay.
To bearing fruit.
Yeah.
Which is what the bearing fruit is what your part was. Because here's the thing. The Snuggly Duckling at that point, they did not love each other. They barely were in like with each other.
Yeah. They were tolerating
each other. Yeah. Neither one really had any interest in the other one other than what they were getting out of the deal. The escape from the Snuggly Duckling was still kind of the same. Where the love was planted, where the seed was sown, was in the cave.
Yeah.
When they finally open themselves up to each other, they think they're both going to die.
That's true.
He opens up to her and says, my real name is Eugene Fitzherbert.
Someone's got to know.
Someone has to know.
Someone has to know.
I kind of like that. Well, you'd be the first.
Yeah.
And then she opens up and says, yeah, I've got magic hair that glows when I sing. Which is like, you look at you look at those two, the difference between those two, and you're like,
I just told
there's a bit of a difference between I changed my name so I could seem cooler.
Yeah.
To I have magic hair
That glows.
that glows when I sing.
And
I go, wait,
he'll-
you have hair that glows when I sing?
Say what?
It's like, oh, hey, we can use that to escape. And then they do escape.
Yeah.
And I still love the scene when they come out of the water. She goes, we're alive. We're alive. And you just going, her hair glows.
I didn't
It's
see
like-
that coming.
It's like, of all the things that just happened in the last couple of minutes, her hair glows is the thing that crossed my mind the first point. And then she goes and heals him.
Yeah.
He had no way of knowing this happening. She has no reason to help him.
Yeah.
Not really at this point, because he would have probably been fine with a regular bandage.
Yeah.
And you can already see the seeds, the sprouts
Mhm.
of love. That's
Exactly.
why Mother Gothel comes in right at this moment to say, test him with the crown.
Yeah.
She knows. She sees exactly what's going on.
Oh yeah.
She probably
went through it.
went through this and saw so many people going through this and has used it and manipulated it
Mhm.
a ton in her lifetime.
Exactly.
And it continues to actually going to Corona. That's
Yeah.
the name of the actual city around the
Yeah.
castle, as far as we
Mhm.
know.
Kingdom of Corona.
The Kingdom of Corona. And you're seeing her enjoying people
Yeah.
for the first time. Thank goodness she's an extrovert.
Exactly.
Because if she was not an extrovert, that would have been terror beyond imagining.
Oh my gosh, the people!
So many people. I didn't know this many people existed. I thought maybe I'd see 1-2 other people, and that's it. It never occurred to me that, oh, this many people light lanterns, and those lanterns are the lights I saw every time around my birthday.
Hey.
I didn't put 2 and 2 together. But you see her, and she's just having the time of her life.
Mm-hmm.
And you're watching Flynn.
Yeah.
Flynn is the more cynical of the couple.
Of course.
He's been hurt probably the most.
Oh yeah.
Rapunzel is basically a babe in the woods
Yeah.
at this point. And so she does not need the love for her to grow much before she's kind of already there.
Mhm.
Flynn had to fall in love with her more.
Yeah.
Before he got to the point where it's like, okay, I'm renting a boat. I'm going to make sure she has the best seat in the house
Mhm.
for this. And if we're gonna do this thing, we're gonna do it right.
Mhm.
And then you get the scene,
Yeah.
the money shot,
The lantern scene.
the lantern scene.
That scene blew my mind in theater. Say
That is the moment
Mhm.
when the seed of love fully
Mhm.
blooms
Mhm.
into its most beautiful section.
Yeah.
Because that's like flower completely unfolded. Look at the amazingness. They're both in love. They're both having the time of their life. You pray no one sees the Stabbington brothers and Mother Gothel on the other shore. Try to not pay attention to that. That'll come up later because
Yeah.
this is a story that's got to go. That's
Got to go somewhere.
It's got to go somewhere, and we've got to move it to the
Yeah.
point
Mhm.
where they have a chance
Mhm.
for the fruit
Mhm.
to have to come,
Yeah.
which is what you brought up, where she has to sacrifice.
Mhm.
Well, first off, he has to defend her,
Yeah.
which is what gets him stabbed in the first place. He has to come looking for her. He has
Yeah.
no reason to come after her
Well, like
other than love.
other than love, he
And because if he was still the selfish brat he was at the beginning
Oh,
of this
yeah.
film, he'd have gone the other way.
yeah.
But he's already so much in love with her that his first thought, and everyone's first thought,
Mhm.
is that we need to get him to Rapunzel.
Yeah.
And he knows exactly where to go. They go back because he knew Mother Gothel had been there.
Yeah.
And he goes
realized who Mother Gothel really is.
right, and he goes back there, and and he's up there. He's in the most dangerous place he could be because he's in love with
Mhm.
Rapunzel. That's where he has to be to go help her.
Mm-hmm.
And for his troubles, he gets stabbed in the back.
Side, actually.
It's a deathly stab, no
Yeah.
matter what you do. It's the last time we saw Disney get this evil with their killing
Mhm.
was when they dropped the giant rock on the evil witch.
That is true.
If we're being honest, granted, it's been a long time since I've seen Sleeping Beauty and a long time since I've seen Cinderella. They could be just as dark, and I just don't remember it.
not as dark as that.
I mean, granted, the dragon does get slain, but at that point, is it really? You don't really think of that as Maleficent. But anyway, it's the darkest we see it, and it's being done to a hero character, not the villain. The villain, it looks like the villain is winning in this scene, and and like you said, Rapunzel has to sacrifice. Feels like she has to sacrifice herself to save Eugene by not by killing herself, not having killing herself, but by giving up and doing whatever Mother Gothel says, despite the fact that means she'll have to live pretty much in slavery for the rest of her life.
Exactly.
And Eugene, despite the fact that Rapunzel is about to heal him again with her magic hair, cuts all of her hair off to kill all the power, knowing that this is going to...
He knows.
Yeah, as far as he knows, this is he's not going to survive this. This is his last final act of love for Rapunzel. Exactly. And it was her grief over losing the love of her life, because the flowers of love had bloomed completely in her by this point and had fruit, which is painfully obvious from the other shot, that just enough of the sun drop was able to heal him. Now, that being said, we both watched all of Tangled, the series. We both know that the power was basically just dormant.
Somewhat, yeah.
At this point in time.
Yeah, somewhat, yeah.
It had to be awakened by the Black Rocks.
Yeah.
Still would love to know when the Black Rock first shut up where the flower was. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
I love that whole journey from, we hate each other. Here's secrets that are only coming out because we're both afraid we're going to die.
Okay. So,
to sacrificial love.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say like the two characters hate each other. Be like they're like, it's okay. Be like they don't know each other. They're like they put up with each other.
You're right. They don't hate each other. Like I said, they are barely in like with each other. They really don't like each other because they don't know each other.
Yeah, and that's be like for someone who has been in a relationship for a year and a half with a very wonderful woman, love of my life. It's one of those where you first meet each other and you don't know each other really that well, and then it's that seed is planted, and then eventually it blooms. So yeah, totally get it. So yeah, good job. Be like, dude, doing the entire thing, I had to wipe my eye at one point because I was like, dude, that's good. That's some deep stuff.
Yeah,
that was so good. Props.
So now dislikes. I don't want to go first because I just kind of waxed poetic for a good 5-10 minutes on love.
Yes.
I don't want to go into the hatred I have for a part at the beginning of the story right off the bat. So please give me your first dislike first.
My first dislike. Now, granted, it was one of my dislikes on the first show, or the first review, the second episode we ever did for Tangled. The animation in this movie is good. Do not get me wrong. The animation is done very well. It hasn't aged very well, though. Like there again, this was made in 2010. It's now 2023. And now, granted, no shade. I'm not throwing any of the designers.
Wait, what are you saying is not aged well? That's what I'm confused about.
It's more the like. It'd be like if you're watching Tangled, it'd be like I want to say it's how do I say this? The animation is done very well. Be like you look at it now compared to 2022, 2023 animation. Be like it was revolutionary then. It'd be like it's still good animation. But you can see the flaws in how they did things and how they were limited in their animations, techniques, and styles. And
I'm gonna let it slide, but I'm gonna disagree.
Okay.
On the idea that there are flaws in everything. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
But the flaws I may have saw in this, I don't really consider negatives, if that makes sense. But continue.
And there again, be like these are all kind of our nitpicks. Yeah, nitpicks. Like it was my first.
This is definitely going to be an
extreme nitpicks.
Granted, even my rant here in a minute
Yeah.
is a very big nitpick.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a very big
Yeah.
nick that I gotta pick.
Yeah. So,
Nit that I have to pick.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like earwax in your ear.
Okay.
I had to clean my ears before I came over here, so it just brought to mind.
It's like, are we getting back into Frozen where all men eat their boogers?
Oh my gosh, no.
Anyway.
Anyways, no. I'm not gonna go there because we would sit there for 30 minutes talking about that. But no, but it's just like, yeah, so the animation is good. Do not get me wrong. The design is good. Everything is good. It's just like watching it now, you can see not the limitations. You can see what they had to use was really good at the time. And it's just, again, nitpicks. I am not throwing shade at anybody. The animation seems a little dated now. Is dated now from 2010. And it just, like, there again, I still love this film. I watch it every time, and I look at the animations like, I still love it. I just, in the back of my mind, it's that nitpick is still there, so I have to bring it out.
I still say you're seeing something I'm not, but fair enough.
Well, maybe I'm not. Maybe possibly I'm not using the right adjectives to describe it. But
at a later date, because we don't have time to do it now,
right.
I'm gonna want you to show me what you're referring to, because from what I've watched of this, nearly every shot is beautiful.
Oh yeah, agreed. It is.
There are a lot of, maybe the action is a tiny bit wooden, and maybe the lighting is still the ocular lighting is maybe a little bit primitive, but I kind of look at that sort of stuff like the sketchy lines we see in like 101 Dalmatians or some other stuff. You know the stuff I'm talking about, when they were Xeroxing.
Yeah.
I kind of look as like, that's just the quirk of the style they're using. I can live with it.
I agree. There again, it's a nitpick.
Yeah.
It's a severe nitpick.
I just kind of let it.
Yeah.
I nearly made another Frozen reference. Let's move on.
Anyway, what's your first, just rip into it?
Okay. I've already hinted at this a lot already. I get I like the idea of Eugene narrating the film, being the narrator, and saying, this is how I died. And I kind of wish it had at that point gone straight to Rapunzel. I am annoyed that we get the entire mystery given to us, answered for us, before the mystery is even shown. We are shown immediately the sunflower. We're shown immediately Mother Gothel. We're shown immediately that the guards were out looking for this flower, and we see immediately them find the flower after it accidentally, the cover got knocked off, which every time I see that, I think this little light of, I'm not gonna, I think of This Little Light of Mine, you know, the verse where I'm not gonna hide it under a bushel. That's always pops in my mind when I see this, because it's like, that's kind of what you're doing, Gothel, is you're hiding the lights that you should have been freely giving. But anyway, beside the point. But we're seeing, this is how the queen was saved, and then she gave birth, and it's painfully obvious that the magic that was in the flower that Gothel was using is now in Rapunzel herself. And then we see Mother Gothel learn very quickly that even if the hair is cut, that's actually very dangerous, and that will actually make that bit of the hair lose its power. So that's why she then kidnaps Rapunzel. That's every bit of mystery. The rest of the film is doing its darndest to slowly reveal over the course of its runtime. That is actually done very well if it weren't for the fact that in the first 5 minutes of your film, you revealed every single thing. Do you think kids are this stupid that they could not have figured this out? Don't do this. You spoiled the mystery before we knew there was a mystery to spoil. Don't do this. It has to be something that came up in like the writers, not the writers' room, but like like the first or second viewing for the studio heads, and some studio head was not paying attention and watching the film and go, how do we know Mother Gothel's evil? How do we know about the magic in the flower? This all kind of just shows up at the end, blah, 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 blah. I was like, if you were paying attention, you could find all the clues that all this stuff was going down, and then you could have revealed it in the final moments. Now, granted, I don't know in the current writing of the story where you actually do all the big reveals.
Yeah.
Granted, maybe if the only way they can make it work is have Mother Gothel spill the beans in the scene where she realizes she's the lost princess, because really that scene does kind of just end, and the next time we see Rapunzel, she's tied up. I could, if there was another scene where she's like tying Rapunzel up and she's going ahead and monologuing.
Yeah, but that's a good
good monologue.
Yeah.
That's a great way to handle this. That's your full reveal. It's like, oh, you thought I was a loving mother? I don't care about you. I only care about your hair because of the magic it holds. I'm everything I told you the outside world was, because that's what the whole point of that is.
Yeah.
And there is enough mystery leading up to that point where it would have been a great reveal. It would have been great reveal after great reveal after great reveal. And instead, you spoiled it in the first 5 minutes of the film before it even says Walt Disney Pictures presents. You give the ending away. I understand you don't want to bury the lead, but you do need to hide it a little bit when you are doing a mystery. Granted, everyone our age knows the story of Rapunzel. We may not know the exact Brothers Grimm version, right, but we know the $5 kindergarten version. Rapunzel was a princess. She had long hair, lived in a tower, and a guy comes by, says, knowing she's there, and says, Rapunzel, let down your hair. And he goes up, they escape, and they live happily ever after. Even with that knowledge, which is the only knowledge I had of Rapunzel going into this, I'm watching the first 5 minutes and going, this is a lot of thought put into this, granted, but why are you telling me all this now? Especially when it's like, okay, that happened, and oh, now we're in the opening. Okay, fun, cool. Oh, they're actually doing a good job. And I'm having the thoughts go through my mind on the first viewing. They're doing a good job of portraying Mother Gothel as both being a likable person. Maybe she's not the villain, but obviously we know she's the villain. Mm-hmm. Just keep the mystery going for 5 minutes, please. You gave it away. It's like, you're doing such a good job, and then you squandered it in the first 5 minutes, because I'm guessing somebody in the upper echelons of Disney did not understand how mystery works.
Bravo. That was good.
Don't give away everything in the beginning. This movie is a great movie. Mm-hmm. And it would be better if you'd have just let the mystery flow.
Totally understand.
And I can go ahead and tell you right now, this cost 0.5 point on my final rating.
Ooh.
This cost the movie itself 0.5 point.
Yeah. Again, I totally get it. I completely get it. Good point. Be like, when you first said it, I was like, ooh, that's a good point. Because there again, coming from my perspective, I see it and it's like, okay, they're using the like fairy tale type story and opening the book, and this is how the story goes. And
that's how it would have been told in probably like the original story.
Yeah, in a way,
but
yes.
This is a modern retelling of the story. You're allowed to do stuff.
Adaptation.
That you're allowed to adapt it and do stuff as long as you're remaining true to the script. They're already somewhat doing it when you have Mother Gothel basically break the fourth wall and say, now I'm the bad guy. That is not the type of speech used throughout the rest of the film. That is a modern day speech to point out to everybody she's the villain. And that's fine. You can tell us she's the villain and do it with modern speech and it'd be fine. And then let us learn how much she is the villain. But the thing is, her being the villain at that line is worthless because we've already been told she's the villain.
Good point. Very good point.
I'm not saying the movie's bad.
Okay.
I'm not saying this ruined the movie. I'm just saying it could have been better.
Yeah. Again,
and like I also said, this is just the biggest nit I could possibly pick.
Alrighty. All right. So going in, my second dislike. I'm gonna use my third because I think it's funny. Puppet Flynn from the Snuggly Duckling. So there, the scene in the middle of Rapunzel's song and the goons and the whole bit, which the song title is eluding me at the moment. But in the middle of the song, be like, and then everyone's be like, "Hey, what about you?" And they stick him on a wall. And there's a moment in the scene where, like, you see, and obviously, be like, you look in the Raptors, you see, Pinocchio. But
yeah,
so in the middle of that scene, be like, it's where Rapunzel goes by, and it's all the goons and Flynn Rider for that moment in the scene looks like a puppet because his shading is the lighting's off or something like that in that scene, and he just looks like a wooden puppet. To me, he looks like a wooden puppet, and I find it absolutely hilarious now in retrospect because, like, even watching the first time, I'm like, okay, it's a little bit odd. The lighting's off a little bit. Like maybe they had cast the lighting wrong or something. I don't know, but I remember that. I recall that scene so vividly. And it's just like, oh, okay, that's cool.
This admittedly this is what, 2010. This is still in the early days of Disney using ray tracing,
yes,
to handle lighting.
Yeah,
so that is just one of the little weirdness things.
Oh yeah, I agree.
So I mean, this is one of the things I will say. Yeah, this part maybe not have aged well. So that's the one part of that I'll agree with you on. There's just so much of the rest of this that's like so well designed and composited and drawn through the computer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I'll definitely have to show you that at some point. But yeah, it was that one scene where it's just more like, for a moment, Eugene looked like a puppet. He literally just looked like a wooden puppet or a hard plastic puppet. So yeah, that's my second dislike. Again, nitpick.
My second dislike is a logistics nitpick. It takes them the whole movie to go from Tower to Corona. 2 seconds to go from Corona back to Tower. I grant we probably skipped the transit, but it made as good as as fun and adventurous as the journey was, the trip back just made it crunch just a little too much. It made the beginning of the film made it the journey made it the world feel big. This made it feel very small. Now granted, he's riding on Maximus,
who's a beast,
he's a horse, so of course he's going to go faster than he was when they were walking on foot. And yeah, but the thing is, even Rapunzel and Gothel get back to the tower really quick.
Yeah.
For the amount of time that passed. That's really what's getting me, is the amount of time that passed. They got back to that tower really quick. Granted, I know a lot of the trip there was also she's experiencing the world for the first time and he's having a hard time probably getting her to move every 5 feet.
Yeah.
So I know that's part of it, but it felt like the world. I just lost a sense of distance.
Okay.
How far she actually was from Corona, even though we get to see the distance between her and the lights, we can see that it's at least a good 10 miles.
Yeah.
And they make that transition just very fast, and it just feels like it's a logistical issue in terms of the pacing of time.
Yeah.
That's
So-
really what I'm getting at.
So it's like someone hit warp drive and said, punch it, Scotty.
If you're referring to the fact that somehow Star Trek Into Darkness made the galaxy feel about as big as a trip to the store, yes. You brought up Star Trek.
I did.
You brought up my issue with time crunches. I'm going to bring up the fact that J.J. Abrams thinks warp drive is hyperdrive in Star Wars, and they're two different things. More on that rant.
Fair.
I don't know where I'm going to finish that rant. I'm not going to rant anymore. I've already used up my rant allotment for this episode.
Master.
Good night.
This is great. All right, so my third and final dislike. I'm calling this Gothel's Folly. So, why do I call it Gothel's Folly? So, Gothel kidnaps young Rapunzel. You think, Rapunzel was a babe when she was kidnapped. She doesn't remember anything.
Yeah.
So instead of naming her not Rapunzel and not giving her this exact same birth date.
So that's the thing. You could have, Rapunzel's still a fine name to give her because it's obviously not the name her parents were going to give her.
We don't know that.
We don't know that, but honestly, why would her parents name her Cabbage? Why would they name her after a cabbage? That's not exactly the name you give to a person of royal lineage under normal circumstances.
True, but it's just more like, I don't know, but it was so weird because.
But I will agree with you on a lot of this would have been fixed had you just time shifted her birthday by about 2 months.
Yeah, just changed it by a couple of months, and Rapunzel wouldn't have known. She'd been like, "Oh, that's cool. It's not on my birthday, so
it's not sticking out of my mind." But it's like, oh yeah, every year I see these lights. Now, granted, she still would have been curious.
Yeah,
why these lights show up the same day every year?
Yeah,
but
why are they correlating with my birthday?
The fact that it happens to land on her birthday is also like, this is too coincidental.
Yeah. So yeah, Gothel's mistake of giving her the same birthday the same when she was kidnapped is a little bit of a folly on Gothel's part. And so now granted, be like, it would have been interesting in the movie if they called her, it'd be like Gothel would have called her Flower and be like, and everybody else called her Rapunzel. So it would have been interesting because I think that would have been.
It is weird that she named her Rapunzel and then gave her the nickname of Flower instead of giving her a name that means flower.
Yeah, exactly.
Granted, we know the reason it's like that in reality. It's because this is based on a story where the character's name was Rapunzel.
Yes.
And most people would not know that word means cabbage.
Yes.
But still.
But yeah, it's just like when I started realizing, like, wait a minute, because like even Rapunzel's like the most very intelligent young lady. And she's like, wait a minute, why is this and this? And all our audience is like, why Gothel? Like, just change the date a little bit. Or at least call her Flower for something else. Don't call her Rapunzel, because that's probably what the King Queen called her. So why
we don't know that.
We don't know that.
Because they never referred to what the Lost Princess's name was.
That is true.
I kind of got the feeling that she was kidnapped before she was christened. So she didn't have a name.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. So yeah, Gothel, you kind of a little folly there with using her exact same birthday. So be like, yeah, it makes a good story. Agreed. But when you're trying to keep your precious away from everything else and keeping the exact same birthday she had when you kidnapped her and collating with am I saying that right? They're
not collating.
Yeah, they're intersecting.
It's not collating. It's correlating.
Yeah, correlating. They're intersecting. They're intersecting with each other. And yeah, might have done something a little different. I don't know. Because there again, we don't know what the King Queen actually called Rapunzel. That's just Rapunzel. But Because it would have been interesting. We would have known her name was Rapunzel, but if say hypothetically this didn't happen in the movie, nor did it happen in the show. Let's say hypothetically, the king queen named her Rapunzel, and Gothel called her Flower. It's just Flower. It's not Rapunzel. So you have the distinction. So then be like, and then it turns into this bigger revelation. It's like, oh, my name actually isn't Flower, which I would have thought been really interesting as Flynn Rider. It's like, oh, I'm Flower. It's like, what? Your name is Flower? It's like, okay, weird.
She likes hanging out with Thumper and Bambi. And attacking James Bond. That's a different movie.
Attacking James Bond. Okay. Okay. But yeah.
Diamonds Are Forever. Look it up.
Oh. I haven't seen a whole lot of James Bond film. Let's just be honest. I've seen a few of them.
There is one where James Bond is in the villain's lair, and the first people he comes up with are two nice, scantily clad young ladies. One's name is Bambi and the other is Thumper.
Oh, didn't know that.
And well, it's a James Bond movie.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I call
stuff happens.
Yeah, yeah, of course, it's James Bond. So
I don't mean he sleeps with them.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Moving right along.
Dig-a-doom, dig-a-doom.
So yeah, it's Mother Gothel's folly to giving her the same birthday she had before you kidnapped her. So yeah, that's my number. That's my third dislike of this film. Well, so Rent Master, you got anything else?
That can't be tied into that. I honestly am not sure.
Okay.
No, I guess my third dislike. No, I every other thing that's coming to my mind can be tied into that first one for the most part, because it causes so many other little minor issues throughout the whole thing. Okay, I have one. It's a very, very, very minor nitpick.
Okay.
The lantern that the king and queen launch in the opening.
Fair.
Should not be the exact same design it is during the drawing on it. Should not be the exact same design it is during the I Seen the Light.
Okay.
It should be slightly different, and you can tell it's a copy paste.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I said, extremely minor nitpick.
That is a nitpick. That's very.
I just want
Nikki in the pit.
I want it just to be a slightly different texture.
Okay.
Just a slightly different drawing. I get it's the seal, but I kind of like. We know that he from the show that he always wrote a letter and hoping that his little daughter would find it.
Yeah.
But I kind of wish they maybe had written on the lantern like a little message every year that maybe was slightly different, so that there was at least a little bit of a different texture.
Yeah.
A little bit of a different look.
Yeah.
Same motif. Same. Obviously, you look at it and go, yeah, that's the same. That looks similar to the one they did the first one, but this feels like the lantern was mass produced. I just want each one to be a little more personalized year to year, because I feel as painful as this entire process has to be for them, always looking for their daughter, that they would make each one of those launches meaningful, and they wouldn't have mass produced lanterns hanging out in the storeroom somewhere.
I gotcha. But we do in the series know where all those
we know where they all go.
They will go to a very interesting little island
with a lot of little leaf people on it. And a lot of like, why are we back here? I thought we left. Anyway, that was my third dislike. Yes. I think I know what your rating is going to be, but why don't you go ahead and tell us?
Okay, so first off, so what was the rating beforehand?
You gave it a 10,
Mm-hmm.
and I gave it a 9.5.
Yeah. Mine hasn't changed. I thought about it. Honestly, I did. I thought about it. Just like, you know, the time dilation between then and now. But this movie is still freaking amazing. Storytelling, animation, the whole bit. Like just golden. Mwah! Chef's kiss. Amazing story, amazing characters, amazing development, amazing the time and tested proven of sacrificial love. I love it. And be like, this movie is just so well rounded as a story, well rounded as characters, character development, characters falling in love with each other. It's just an amazing, terrible villain. Amazing, terrible villain that you want to see come to her ruin in the most spectacular way ever. And it's just like, mwah, love it. 10. What about you? Have you changed?
No.
Okay.
Still a 9.5. This is a very well-made film.
Yeah.
And just like before, I did not go back and listen to our previous episode.
Right.
I have a strong feeling that I felt the same way about the opening then as I do now. Just maybe I did not give it as much, because that was long before we did likes and dislikes. So I'm sure I brought it up, but I did not have.
You had the same gravitas.
I can tell you I probably did not go into as much detail then as I did tonight.
Right.
So 9.5 still. Yeah. It's the film. Like I said, the film is good. It's a great film. It just could be better.
Yeah.
You could have made it just a little bit better.
It's called Rapunzel's Single Adventures, and yeah,
because there's a lot of hidden in that, and you kind of don't realize how much even the fluff episodes are actually important.
Yeah, exactly. Just beautiful storytelling. There again,
until you get to the groundhog grab.
Oh gosh,
those episodes could be left out every single time. It's like, will you leave out the gopher grab, please? I hate these episodes. They don't do anything. The only time they ever did anything for us was we says like, oh, there is somebody who doesn't like Rapunzel.
Mm-hmm.
And even he likes Rapunzel later on. Mm-hmm. So say la vie. Richard Kind, you did your best. Mm-hmm. Anyway, next week,
what are we watching?
A very despicable sequel to a despicable film that we have reviewed before. And I actually think Despicable Me 2 is better than the first one.
I don't think I've seen the second one yet.
Well, you've got a week.
Yeah. To look for or watch more little gremlins saying banana.
Ba 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 banana ba 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 banana. Okay, moving on. Join us next week for that. In the meantime, we're gonna go to intermission. Throw you some. When we come back, we're gonna be talking what we've been watching, news, and of course, the end of the Dark Phoenix saga of X-Men, the animated series.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
This week, we suggest checking out the Untold Podcast, which is a speculative fiction podcast using the genres of sci-fi, fantasy, and horror, among others, in order to engage the culture's imagination from a Christian worldview. Every month, Nathan James Norman produces and narrates a new story presented in a unique and dynamic way. Check out the Untold Podcast at theuntoldpodcast.com to listen and leave a review on Apple Podcasts.
The Cellcast would like to thank the following patrons: Ashley and Francisco Ruiz, Book of Gaming, PaulJPowers.com, and Melanie Dubois.
And still not this
to get
person
your
because I
name
haven't
on
had
the
time to
show,
review
plus
get rid of
uncut
it yet.
episodes, early access to the Cellcast Plus reviews, and special art from Jacob. Please donate to us on Patreon.
In my defense, I've had a busy week, and next week is also going to be busy.
Same.
So, yeah.
I've got the weekend off because my lovely girlfriend is having a girls' weekend. I would have been there, but my vacation time ran
That
out.
would have been awkward for you to be at a girls' weekend.
No, they
saying.
they wanted me to come because they wanted to beat me. That's the thing.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyways,
Jacob, I have a question for you.
What have you been watching?
what have I been watching
In the last 4 days.
in the last 4 days? Not a whole lot. Work, stress. Because literally, what was it? One day, be like, I got to work and just busy. And then it's like, oh, the director's there. Oh crap, I gotta go clean more stuff and stressing out about nothing. But so yeah, I really haven't watched anything. I've watched a lot of YouTube. And then if you don't know the channel, it's really fun. It's the Super Carlin Brothers on YouTube. They also do other stuff, but they do primarily a lot of Harry Potter stuff, and that got me to thinking because I've been watching for a couple of days and like, wow, okay. And so I actually went to Audible, found the audiobook for the Sorcerer's Stone, not the Philosopher's Stone, Sorcerer's Stone. And I pulled out my old copy. I'm actually reading through Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone right now. I think I'm at the end. I think I'm in chapter 3, I think. Just before everything goes nuts.
Right.
But yeah, and definitely it's when the audio is being read by Jim Dale, who I think he got a Guinness World Record for as many voices for his performance, and it's just incredible. Wow. But yeah, now granted, be like I'm listening to it, but at the same time I'm hearing my own version of Dumbledore or Professor McGonagall or how Harry sounds, because in my head he sounds more like Daniel Radcliffe, but that's just me. Yeah, I'd be like I'm enjoying it so far because there again, I read this back in college, and it took me 1.5 years to read the first one, and that was interesting. Let's just say I was a chaperone for a youth trip to, I think the first book, the last book came out, and everybody's reading it. Obviously, the youth minister has no problem with this, and I'm sitting behind two girls who at that point are Harry Potter fanatics, and I'm sitting there reading the book, and they were like, "So where are you at? Where are you at?" It's like, I'm at this chapter. And it's like, do not tell me anything, please. If you, I'd be like, obviously, for the most part, most of it was all around during that time. So it was like, no, do not tell me anything. But yeah, I'm starting to going back and reread Harry Potter, the first series.
Hey, Jacob.
Well, yes.
Snape kills Dumbledore.
No!
I'm sorry. It's like the most spoiled.
Vile betrayer!
It's like saying Darth Vader is Luke's father. It's the most spoiled thing in existence.
I know.
And I just thought it would be fun. For anyone who has not read Harry Potter and is trying to go through it, and I just spoiled one of the books for you. I'm not telling you which one.
Yeah, thankfully, my little cousin isn't watching because she would have been like,
apologize.
No, I'm reading that book.
Read all the books leading up to it.
Right.
So that moment actually feels earned.
Yeah. But yeah,
I just felt like being a jerk there for a slight second.
We're all sarcastic every once in a while.
Hey, you have to understand.
Mm-hmm.
For a long time, this was all I knew about the entire Harry Potter series was that Snape kills Dumbledore. I don't know who Snape is. I don't know who Dumbledore is. I just know one killed the other, and apparently this was a bad thing.
It was.
I know it was now. I've read all 7 books.
I was going to say, thankfully, I'd be like, because I was like, wait a minute.
For a long time,
yeah,
this was all I knew because the internet would not shut up. And apparently I am adding to the noise.
Yeah, I'm very grateful that my cousin doesn't allow her second oldest daughter, who loves Harry Potter, isn't watching this episode right now because that would have been bad. I guarantee I would have got a call from my mother. It's like, oh my gosh, your little cousin's so upset now. I'd be like, Drew, it's like,
I don't know her.
You know, but that would have.
I'll never meet her.
No, you probably won't.
Until deep in a dark alley of a weird Comic-Con that I actually happened to go to. All of a sudden, she goes Mother Gothel on me and stabs me in the back.
I can totally see my 10-year-old cousin doing that. And it's like, you spoiled it for me. Yeah.
You ruined my summer.
Oh my gosh, that would be that'd be terrible. But the whole scenario is hilarious. meet you in the back alley.
Yeah.
Cadabra!
How many times have both of us been spoiled on something?
Oh yeah,
it just happens.
it does.
You gotta learn to understand, if you are spoiled on something, I don't care how big or how small it is.
Yes.
Don't take it personally.
Yeah, exactly.
You just now have been given a slightly bittersweet gift.
Yeah, exactly.
You now get to experience
Oh yeah.
what leads to the moment that just got spoiled for you. Granted, the moment itself will not be as powerful as it would have been.
Oh yeah.
But like that's what makes the gift bittersweet.
So kind of in the exact same way. So I was reading the last book, The Deathly Hallows, and my cousin, who's a lot faster reader than I am, because I am slower than a snail when it comes to reading. Minus when you get an audiobook in my ear, I read a lot better. But
oh yeah, they'll get it done in 10 hours.
That's true. So while I'm sitting there all night, we go pick up the book, go back to his house, read, be like, and then I have to go to work. And so I'm dead exhausted, but I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a really good book. And he's like, hey, where are you at? It's like, oh yeah, Dobby just showed up. And he says something that alludes to something. I'm like, you turd. You just gave it away, didn't you? It's like, kind of. It's like, thanks. But at the actual moment when it does happen in the book, oh my gosh, yes. That was such a amazing point in the book. But we're not talking about Harry Potter. We're talking about what we just watched or listened to. And I've been reading.
I just remember one other thing I knew about Harry Potter before I read the books.
Mm-hmm.
Dobby has given Master a sock. Dobby is free.
Yes.
Like, Dobby, you look like Jar Jar Binks's deformed cousin.
Hey, don't be ragging on Dobby.
Granted, I only know that when I imagine Dobby, I have to imagine the version that was in the movies because that's the only way I've seen him.
Oh, you're like, and then
he does. That version does look like a deformed Jar Jar Binks doll.
It does. It does. And they're like, too bad we never got Winky in the movies. Let's just say that,
or any of the other
other house elves. But anyways, we're not here to talk about Harry Potter. We're here to talk about.
Never had Spew either, but anyway.
Yeah, we never had Spew. Come on, give us Spew. Anyways, so that's got me thinking now. That's a dangerous thing right now. So yeah, I have been reading. I'm starting to go through Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. So in that regard, that is basically all I've been watching and listening to. What about you?
Nathan has us on, has me and both of us on another thing.
That's right. Yeah.
Contract is the wrong word. On point.
On point. Yeah.
For some upcoming collaborations that we're recording within the next week. I'm on one by myself, and then we have another one that's like a week from Monday. So I've been watching those things.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't tell you anything.
No, Billy, it tells me everything. I need to start watching this thing on Netflix.
I've watched, I finished Car Ranger, which I am,
don't talk about Turbo.
I needed to get that finished before I'm going to be on Power Trip.
Yeah.
I have some thoughts. You'll have to just tune into that to hear my full thoughts on whether Turbo or Car Ranger was better.
Okay. Gotcha.
And let's just say nobody's going to be happy. I have opinions. They're not as monumental as I made that just sound.
Yeah.
You could probably guess my thoughts. But there's just ways it could have been done differently and it would have been fine.
Okay.
I'll put it that way.
Okay.
So, and then I started Skull Island on Netflix. There's a film. There's a TV show. We'll get to that in a couple weeks. I'll put it this way. I have a bad feeling based on some communications I saw between Nate and Dallas from Geek Devotions that there's going to be a lot of missed potential.
Okay.
I'll put it that way.
On Skull Island?
On Skull Island.
Okay.
But we'll get there when we get there.
Right.
Anyway, that's pretty much everything I've done outside of watching Strange New Worlds.
Okay.
And some YouTube.
Okay.
Because I actually haven't watched Secret Invasion yet this week. But anyway, other than that, that's about it.
All right.
What do we got in the news?
The Cellcast News with your host Jacob Heron.
Why, thank you, Dylan. And going into a bit of news. So we have mentioned this particular movie a few times. It was one of the last projects that Blue Sky was working on before they got shut down by Disney. And apparently that is finally coming to Netflix on Friday, June 30th, which is today. Right?
Yes, today is the 30th.
Yeah, 30th. So right now you can go to Netflix and watch Nimona. Nimona.
M-I-N...
M-I-N-I-M-O-N.
Oh, Nimona.
Nimona. Yeah, you can go watch Nimona right now. And apparently they put up a behind the scenes kind of documentary on the making of the movie, because this movie went through a lot to try to get where it is. So you can go watch that, make your own opinion of what you think of the film. So a movie about a kraken.
Release the kraken.
Well, maybe not this kraken.
To fight the evil little mermaid.
Yeah, we know what you're doing. We know what you're doing.
I kind of am here for it. I need to go watch that film. It looks like it'll be fun.
Oh yeah. Ruby Gilman, Teenage Kraken. Apparently, this movie is getting ready. It actually released today. Released on June 30th here in the United States. And it's the news coming out from Netflix. And if you are going to go see it, let us know. And I don't know if we're going to do a review over it or not, but
I don't think we're going to have time for a reaction. To be honest,
that's what I mean, a reaction.
Because our schedule is
a bit full.
Well, it's 4th of July weekend.
Yeah,
give us, a little bit of grace there.
All right, so
totally rake us over the coals for missing Spider-Verse, but give us grace for Ruby Gilman, Teenage Kraken. Exactly.
And apparently, we're going to review Into the Across the Spider-Verse in the next year. Apparently, no, of course not. No, that would never happen. Inconceivable.
It's just as the guy who makes up the schedule went ahead and claimed a bunch of spots.
Yeah. Anyways, so apparently, speaking of Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse is doing very well. It is at number 1. It's reached its 4th month. It has claimed another $19.3 million. Go ahead. With the latest Pixar film released, Elemental, which there again we have not done a reaction to yet. So there again, give us grace.
I'm not in a hurry for that one because Pixar does not have the reputation they once had.
Yeah, agreed. But I've heard good things about it in some.
It'll get reviewed.
Oh yeah. Came in second place with $18.4 million in its second week. So Across the Spider-Verse has made so far $314.5 million with the weekend. It's doing very well. Elemental is which is in the second, which has $47.5 million, with DC's The Flash coming in number 3 with $72.4 million.
If I can point out one little thing quick, Spider-Verse was number 1 the first 2 weeks of its release. it hit number 2 when Flash released, and now it's back to number 1.
Of course.
Flash had a little bit of a high note, and then people's like, oh yeah, this film's not as good as we thought it'd be.
Oh yeah. Be like, Michael Keaton's in it.
Oh, that was about the only good thing in the film. I enjoyed it, but it's not what I'm wanting for Christmas. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. So yeah, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is doing very well right now in theaters. And Elemental is right behind it, and then you have The Flash. So yeah. Like, yeah, if you want to go see a really good movie right now and be like, yeah, go to theaters. You know, go support your local theaters.
Yes.
Go. Do it now. I wouldn't say right now because it's like almost 10 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night. So yeah.
Well, when recording, yes.
Yeah, recording this, but either or. You know, this is recorded on Friday. So yeah, if you listen to this later, you just go watch it. Anyway, so that's all I have for in news, unless you have something else, Drew.
I do not.
All right.
So it is time for us to deal with the Phoenix
That
and her
pesky bird
and her dark ways, and I may have an opinion about how this ends.
Previously on X-Men.
Meet the sulky, over-bulky, kinda hulky superhero. A two-fisted and electrically transistored superhero. An exotically neurotic and aquatic superhero. The Marvel superheroes have arrived. X-Men, X-Men, it's the day, X-Men, X-Men, come and go.
Spider-Man and his amazing friends, Iceman and Firestar.
A couple of them are in these episodes today. X-Men, the animated series, Dark Phoenix, and the Fate of the Phoenix came out. Both came out on November 19th, 94 and November 26th, 94, respectively. Directed by Larry Houston and written by Larry Parr and Brooks Watchell, respectively. In these episodes, Jean Grey, now completely part of the Phoenix, returns to her childhood home, overwhelmed by too much emotion and too much power. Xavier reads Lalandra's mind and challenges her guard to a duel of honor that Lalandra cannot refuse for Jean Grey's life. Guest cast in these episodes. There's not many in this week. Richard Epcar is the voice of Gladiator. And Len Carlson is the voice of the Supreme Intelligence. And the Skrull Empress also, strangely enough.
Yeah.
Same guy. Funny how that worked.
Yeah.
Trivia for this one. When Beast is designing the mnemonic scrambling device, a signed photo of Carly Ann Crocker, his love interest from Beauty and the Beast, can be seen taped to his computer.
Yeah.
When Lalandra shows the X-Men the damage Dark Phoenix has done, among the alien onlookers are a Skrull, a Xenomorph colored red, a Kree warrior, and the Thing, Ben Grimm, colored dark green. And I would like to also point out, I noticed Green Goblin was in the audience too.
Yes, I did.
Jean dons her original Marvel Girl costume, green mini dress, yellow gloves, boots, and mask from the 1960s. Cameos for this episode include Doctor Strange, Thor Odinson, Uatu the Watcher, Eternity, And we get the debut of the Supreme Intelligence, ruler of the Kree Empire and the Empress of the Skrull Empire, which I love how this makes it sound like those are one and the same person.
Yes.
The way this is written, which I'm not sure they're not, from what I understand of how this works.
Who's this?
The Supreme Intelligence,
Okay.
ruler of the Kree. And according to this, well, if I'm reading this right, the way the sentence is structured, also the Empress of the Skrull Empire. It's an AI. It could be both.
That is true.
I don't know.
Yeah.
X-Men aficionados, weigh in, but don't roast me for not knowing this, because granted, I don't know everything.
Yeah, sure.
So anyway, Dark Phoenix.
Yes.
How this story ends. I want to point out that this is very obviously a Saban written show, because
just a little.
It's a good thing those planets were uninhabited, or otherwise this would have been a lot worse. Yes, just like the Megazord only destroys things in the abandoned warehouse district.
Every single episode.
Yes.
How many abandoned warehouse districts are there in Angel Grove? And how big is Angel Grove?
Angel Grove is obviously the size of Tokyo.
Apparently.
Since that's where most of the Super Sentai actually take place. Anyway. Also, don't forget the first dub of Dragon Ball Z that Saban partially wrote, and all the helicopters, Tien could see their parachutes, despite the fact none were drawn on screen.
I didn't know that.
And everyone got sent to another dimension instead of getting killed.
That is hilarious.
You gotta love 90s censorship and Saban sensibilities sometimes.
Hey, at least it's not
Four kids?
4 kids.
Turning rice balls into jelly donuts.
Yeah.
Without reanimating them.
Yeah.
These jelly donuts are great.
It's like,
that's not a jelly donut. And I don't think that's a sweet dish either. But anyway.
Yeah, anyways.
Oh, and sending people to the Shadow Realm.
Exactly. But yeah, 90s.
Late 90s, early 2000s. Anyway, yeah, this is definitely Saban production. And I this will be interesting when in X-Men 97 actually does come out to see how much of these sensibilities actually carry over.
Okay.
Or if they're just going to do their own thing that's just kind of sort of based on this show.
Yeah.
But this is a good, we both know this is a good show.
Yeah, agree.
These episodes are good. The second one is, from what I know, the last episode of X-Men the Animated Series I watched. Because when I think back to the show, this is the last memory I have is Jean Grey dressed as Marvel Girl. And them doing this big fight and her being on trial for the crimes of Dark Phoenix. I just assumed this came later. I thought this would have been a season finale thing, not
you would have thought
mid-season. We still have 10 episodes of the season left.
Yeah.
In fact, I think we are at the halfway point.
We are.
Of X-Men the Animated Series, just for those who are curious. So yeah. So I actually have no idea where we're going from here.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat right now. I have no idea.
Yeah. I do like how they got out of Jean Grey being dead in the comics, and somehow now that Jean is no more, I, the Phoenix, have returned from being an overly emotional bird to being a guardian once again.
Yeah.
It's like, so you just needed to be smacked around a little? Is that what the problem was?
I got
you are not innocent of any sins here, Phoenix. You did this, not her.
Teenage angst.
Are you saying she just very quickly while Phoenix was in Jean Grey just went through all the teenage years and now now Phoenix is a young adult?
Apparently.
Yeah. I will say this is a kind of a minor thing, and I know this is just 90s writing style, and I could have brought this up at any time on any of these episodes, but man, do these episodes wrap up fast.
They do.
like even the stuff that's obviously multi-parters. It's like, oh yeah, the story that's keeping this particular episode going, we're going to wrap that up in 2 seconds and then leave you something to keep for it to be continued to actually occur. It's weird how long it will stay on a particular story, and then 3 minutes before the end, oh, we're done. Wrap it up, folks. We just finished the last commercial.
That's all, folks.
Yeah. And it happens here too, because the fight there during Fate of the Phoenix, it's most of the episode.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's no way the X-Men are going to get out of this. And you go back and forth, and all of a sudden, Jean is quote unquote destroyed because this is a Saban production. And I am the Phoenix. Everything's going to be okay because we can't kill a character we're selling toys of. I assume they were selling toys.
Yeah, they were selling.
They're always selling toys, and I just don't remember these toys. I remember having little plastic Ziploc bags with the characters printed on them that I used to take my sandwiches to school in, and one held like Christmas hangers for years in our decorations.
Okay.
Well, you use stuff you have, and then all of a sudden, 20 years later, oh, look. That is Colossus. It must be time to put up the Christmas tree. I just went vampire.
You did.
I did not mean to do that. I was trying to cross sparrow egg between man's thighs, because the only way I can keep in my Russian accent is to every once in a while quote Zangief.
Well, it's I mean, like, if you look at it historically, like Vlad the Impaler is
yes
from Transylvania, which was part of Romania, which is Russia.
They're all the European side of Russia has a lot of German connectiveness.
It does. There's a lot of German.
So
fiction.
Moving on.
Yes, moving right on.
Dig it down. These, I will still say that these 4 episodes in total were far better than Fox did with the movies.
Oh,
but this still just wraps up like so stinking quick. I think the comics might have. I don't know if the comics wrapped up this quick, but these wrap up so stinking quick. I do appreciate that Chris Claremont in these episodes has been getting a based on credit.
Yeah,
I don't think that's occurred in every episode, but all of the Phoenix and the Dark Phoenix stuff, Chris Claremont has been getting at least that much.
Agreed.
So kudos for giving credit where credit is due, even though I think a lot of these stories were based on Chris Claremont stories, because he wrote so much of X-Men for like 20-30 years.
Yeah, back in the 80s.
It's really more his than this Stan Lee's. But
agreed.
Yeah. And I appreciate the cameos.
Yeah.
In this. What are your thoughts? I've been rambling.
I enjoyed these episodes. The third episode threw me for the biggest loop, because they were just intercutting all these weird cuts.
Yeah.
Like in the middle of the fights, they would just go, whoop, whoop,
it's
whoop.
Like, and here's a shot of Doctor Strange being aware that the Phoenix is rising.
Oh, and that.
And here's Thor Odin's son. We hope you actually are good Marvel character people, because in the 90s you won't know who these people are otherwise.
Right.
And here's, what was the third one?
There was the Watcher.
Oh, Uatu the Watcher. There's a deep cut.
Yeah.
Who in the 90s, what little kids in the 90s watching this show go, oh, they showed Uatu the Watcher. He's the guy who narrates What If. Because it's about what he does.
Yeah.
And then now we'll show Eternity, one of the actual gods of the Marvel universe, and still do nothing with them, just like the MCU.
Yeah. So what I'm referring to,
Love and Thunder, you despise. I despise you. Moving on.
So in the middle of the fight with the Phoenix, with the X-Men, they're be like, "Oh, we need to stop her." Be like, "No, I can't hurt Jeannie." And there's all these weird intercuts of be like where it was one point where it's this real close-up shot. They're zooming in on Dark Phoenix's face, and then all of a sudden there's this weird cutaway to Cyclops blasting.
I remember that because it's obviously from like a minute in previous in the episode.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm going, did y'all guys get some reels out of order or something? Because this doesn't fit.
No, it doesn't. It'd be like there's a lot of just like very weird editing choices, like with different clips they would throw in there. It's just like, okay, thankfully these are not flashing images, because I would have a headache. or worse.
And the fire effects that they kept showing in here.
Oh my
It's like, I thought the one from the season opener,
the teaser
was bad, but it's like, good night. This is a looped, low resolution fire graphic that you got from who knows where. Why? And granted, I know this is a cheap production. That's if there's one thing that can definitely said about this show is it's a cheap production.
So
but it's still the one of the most memorable ones.
Agreed. So one of the one scenes they kind of I started laughing. It's where it's they're talking about the Phoenix and how the Phoenix is being, I'm going to destroy everything, and they literally just take the silhouette of the Phoenix and take all either the white or the black out. It just
replace it with the fire.
Replace it with flame.
It's like,
and like every other scene is all this
re-looping
flame effects, and it looks so cheesy. It's so terrible.
Okay. Devil's advocate.
Okay.
We're watching this on an HD television with no interlacing and none of the stuff that they knew, none of the technology they were aiming for. We're looking at this on better technology than it's intended to be seen on.
Yeah.
It could be that while it probably still didn't look great on a CRT, it would look better.
Oh, agreed.
Especially at 480, an actual 480 resolution with the actual scan lines going and not looking at it with this. Granted, this is still not a great transfer. This is still a 480 transfer of the show, and very obviously off videotape. But it could look better on the actual equipment it was designed to be seen on.
Fair.
At the same time, good night. It looks bad.
It does look bad.
And we know that this studio is not above like doing bad stuff and acting like it's a big thing. Or do we need to be remembered of the to be continued from Strange Hearts, Savage Lands, or whatever the name of that episode was? Part 1. It's like, to be continued. We just discovered Microsoft Word's word art.
So true. But like, the story is good. Do not get me wrong. It's cheesy as all out in some cases. And then the Shi'ar Empire shows up. And,
of course.
Huh?
Of course they show up.
The 90s censorship. Be like, oh, good thing. Like Drew said, oh, good thing this
planet, the solar system was uninhabited.
Really?
And then I'm sitting there going, it's like, I've watched enough Star Trek at this point. And Star Trek at least tries to be, or at least tries to extrapolate from the best science we had and we know of at the time of its production. Last I checked, a sun going supernova by turning into a red giant and then turning into a black hole, which it would have had to have. That's going to cause a lot of problems for anybody in that area. Including the Shi'ar ship that did not accelerate away like they should have.
The funny part was be like, oh, we need to stop this creature because it's going to destroy everything. Well, that black hole is going to do everything.
And I'm sitting there going, no, you need to do your job, captain of the Shi'ar ship. You are not Kirk. I'm sorry. Kirk only gets it away because, well, protagonist shielding. If we're being honest, that he's a little bit more luck. The fact, Shi'ar captain, that you have been bored for the past 5 years from the way this was written, and all of a sudden things got interesting. Shows you do not have the luck. You need to leave and go report this to your empress. I mean, he does that eventually, but he should have left right then. There should have been none of this. We need to turn back and be heroes. You don't be a hero. Don't go to town, Tonto.
And the fact
go talk to your empress.
And the fact be like the Dark Phoenix comes in and just shears off that part of the wing. I'm thinking like this ship is doomed. It's not coming back, but no, they just throw thrusters on. It's just like what? Like you see a ship get nicked in anything else, it goes tumble, 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 boom. Nope. This is a kids movie.
Well, and they had a plot reason that they needed to survive, so they could go tell the Empress.
Yeah.
So that it's at the next episode we get the trial of Jean Grey, and not at the end of the season, which would have made I think a little bit more narrative sense. But at the same time, they didn't plan this for the end of the season, so whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, be like good episode. It's like the whole thing, but like how much everybody loves Jean Grey and they want her to continue. And it's like, and the Phoenix gives them the choice to be like, it'd be like you have to give a little bit of your life energy, your life spirit, or whatever the character says. And
the spark has gone out of her.
Yeah, the spark. The
only way she can survive if the spark comes from another. And of course, Wolverine and Cyclops both jump and says, "We'll do it. We'll do it." The spark does not necessarily have to come from just one person. Oh, of course, we'll join hands and each give a bit of our spark to save our friend. Bahudores, welcome Phoenix while we stand. I'm sorry, I got the end of Grinch in that moment.
Oh my gosh, that was so good. That was good. That was so good. Oh my gosh. But oh my gosh, that was, to me, it was funny. It's okay, you can't kill off Jean Grey, so you have to bring it back in this very kumbaya. Oh my gosh, we're gonna share some of our life spirit. Be like, and there again, you said spark. And like,
because spark was the term Phoenix used.
That is true.
And I get it. Spark of life, the fire within her. That's how Phoenix would interpret life. Because she's fire incarnate.
I agree. At the same time, like, what are these Autobots? The spark? I'm sorry. I'm probably the only one laughing about that, but same.
No, I'm just imagining.
It's the spark.
I'm just imagining Jean Grey trying to pass on to Rogue the matrix of leadership.
Like, oh my gosh.
Well, Jean, you don't really have to hand me this. All I gotta do is touch you, and I'll just absorb everything. Have you met my friend Ms. Marvel, aka Captain Marvel? No Flurgan will save you this time. I'm saying that having seen the trailer for the Marvels, and we get to see a whole herd of Flurgan kittens. I'm like, please say these are Goose's kids that are going to save Kamala Khan.
But anyways, be like, yeah, this was a good episodes, 4-parter, and I think the ending was good. It was cheesy, but it was good. It was 90s cheesy, so it was Gouda.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway,
yeah, that's the end of it. That's we've wrapped up the Dark Phoenix saga. We're gonna finish up the rest of it, I think, in like 2 episodes. I think
season 3 ends after the next 2 episodes. We were at the end of season 3. Next week we have Orphan's End and Love is Vain. And I think there is a interesting little cameo or Easter egg in one of these 2 episodes. I think is where I remember seeing it. But yeah, join us next week for that, along with Despicable Me 2. And yeah. So
yeah, the next movie we're doing after that.
I don't know why you put that on the list, but we'll get there when we get there. In the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day. His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron. And his Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. His Facebook page, Drew's Photo Bin, to see his photography. His Letterboxd page at GGeorge759. His Twitter at GGeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast. On Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming. On YouTube at Cellcast. On Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell with a single L.
Would not feel right to end an episode of Tangled without oh. Now I got my eyes open and wide, my heart burning like fire. Feels like I'm so alive. I'm never going back. Whatever I want now, I'm gone. I don't think that's the actual lyrics from the thing. I think this is the whole song, and I tried to find the whole. I can't find the. Anyway, yeah.
I am Magneto, master of magnet.